All right, folks. So I came on before. Just give me a sound check. We're doing some breaking slave news coverage and some algorithmic baiting for the slaves. I had to restart because I had an audio issue. Looks like we're good now. So, yeah, I'm going to throw the link down there. We'll play this out for a few minutes. See if we break into the algorithm, if we can facilitate / force a conversion or interaction with the folks that may lead to a conversion. And if not, we will shortly transition to the Inside the Mind of a Sovereign Citizen segment. We're going to continue with that, where I have basically 100 tabs open up there and some current events with historical context, world events, as usual. We'll cover the state of affairs, the state of the world, why things are the way they are, how it got that way, where it's going potentially, and what we can do as far as bringing solutions and being the change that we want to see. So, yeah, we'll let this run for a little bit, where it takes us. Experts. Questions, comments, concerns, I'll throw the link down there. And of course, you guys got the number. It's always the same number. And use it wisely.
Welcome back into Live Now from Fox. I'm your host, Anna Marsick. Less than 90 days
Got an
until the
event.
midterm elections. And right now in Detroit, Michigan, the Democratic
People
Party
love to
holding
vote.
a general election kickoff rally. We're hearing from the mayor of Detroit right now. Let's listen in.
Gosh, that sounds exciting.
And that turnout is a powerful sign that momentum is building across this state, that everyday people are standing up and speaking out. But the work does continue. Every voice matters, every community matters, and every single vote matters. Because when we, the people, participate, we have the power.
Okay, there's your first gaslight. And like we always do here, we're going to call out the gaslighting in real time. If you guys get tired of that or you already know it, then just tell me to shut up and we can just listen to them. But right off the bat, our first gaslight is if you participate in the statism and the corporatism, the fascism, by definition, then you somehow get power, right? So don't think about having God-given rights. Don't think about living free. Don't think about being an empowered individual under God with God-given rights. Understand you have to participate in the statism / fascism, and of course, as we know, merger of state and corporate powers is the definition of fascism. So this is not, in fact, capitalism. For all you super sleuths out there, all you geniuses. So yeah, there's our first gaslight. And as usual, somewhere in here, we're going to get more collectivism, like democracy, you know, nothing about a republic, nothing about God-given rights, nothing about freedom, nothing about personal choice. You got to give that all over to the collective in order to be empowered. And again, this is now Fox noise. This is why I laugh when you folks tell me about Republicans and neocons and conservatives and all the rest of the crap. Because this is where you're at.
Have the power. And with just 13 weeks until Election Day, the work before us is clear. Let's finish the work united as one. We together will defend the democracy that generations fought before us.
Yeah.
We will fight for a government that puts the people first.
We're going to fight for democracy to undo everything that was great, that we lay claim to the founders, because there it is. More collectivism and more gaslighting. We love this non-republic so much, we're not going to keep it. We're going to give it over to collectivism because, again, you can go back 1,000 years and someone like me will be sitting in a fucking cave somewhere, philosopher, telling you, like Plato and so many others, that democracy is a sister of socialism. It is collectivism. Okay, so it's like, you know, You start to learn the plan and the program and process and procedure of this thing and the spirit behind it, and it just becomes like you can set your watch to it, right? So tell us more about the non-republic. That's a democracy that we can only have power in if we give away our personal choice and give it to the collective to unite with the corporations to chart our destiny. It's going so well, and then we'll call that true republicanism and conservatism too, to just really mind fuck everybody and everything. Just completely take it away from what it was all supposed to be and what the experience shows.
Together, Detroit and Michigan, we're going to elect Ellie Savitt as our next Attorney General.
Yay.
We are going to elect Garland Gilchrist as the next Secretary of State.
Yay. More corporatists.
And we are going to send Abdul El Sayed to the United States Senate.
Woo. More attorneys running everybody's lives. Attorney General. More lawyers.
We're going to elect Jocelyn Benson as the next governor of the great state of Michigan. We will meet this moment. And we will make our voices heard at the ballot box, and we will win big this November. This is our responsibility.
Oh, by the way, we're going to at some point here go to the Fauci message board where thousands of people are now collecting and cursing anyone out who says anything other than Fauci is a hero and a national treasure. And you'll ask, Paul, why do you bring this to us? And so I'm basking in, and I'm inspired by, and I'm just in awe of the complete delusion and denial and the new levels of disempowerment and disconnection from truth and therefore God, and the willingness to lie to oneself and others. It's why I do what I do. I am perpetually, invariably, inevitably, insatiably attracted to and entertained by the things that human beings, and I'm including myself in this idea, the things that human beings will engage in and not only will accept but promote and support and fund and then claim it's something else and then tell everyone else they should be part of it. I am fucking blown away by it. Because if you'd have asked me, right, in the movie, like main character syndrome, Paulie, you know this, Paulie boy, or you have this intuition and the rest of these slaves don't get it no matter what goes on. Surely, after a worldwide lockdown, driving family businesses out of business, slavery and genocide program, among other things, surely the people would have awakened after that and come to realize that none of these people on all sides have their best interest in mind, including Donnie, the father of the vax Operation Warp Speed himself. And no, nothing could be further from the truth. They're still doubling and tripling down. They're still attacking. They're in delusion and denial. And now they're saying anybody who didn't support the vax is still they're back to it again. I thought we were coming out of that, but no, this is the danger of politics and statism. They can't come out of it, right? My microphone is not set properly here. Okay, I think that's better. So yeah, they can't come out of it. They're now going to go deeper into it. Anybody who didn't support it and doesn't support it now is a Trump-tard. This is the danger of statism and left-right politics is we'd all walked out together, but they convinced you that your enemy was the other party and that any truth that we didn't want to confront had to be propaganda from that other side. And both sides do that to their own side and to the other side. So it makes both sides impervious to actually having a conversation about the truth because they will just continue on with the narrative. And when they reach that point where they have to confront the harsh truth, they just call you the other side and say that's the propaganda from your side, even if you're not a Republican or a Democrat. By the way, this is the entree into the revelation that mind and heart control not only exists, it runs this world. And again, they'll say to me, well, Paulie boy, you're cherry picking. That's only the leftists. It's only one little small side or one aspect of the whole dynamic. That's not true. The Republicans, the MAGA-tards, the conservatards still haven't come up off their stump that's firmly implanted in their rectum, right? To accept the fact that Donnie is the father of the quack scene and the lockdowns. Neither side is still willing to admit and confront who or what is running them and their world and their corporation they call the United States. It's just too stunning and challenging for them, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually, right? So they continue on with business as usual. And of course, that's okay, right? We cover that world and we cover this world that we find ourselves in, even though we're not of that world at this point, and we've come out of it, and many of us are practicing civil disobedience. We don't cooperate with this. We don't want to overthrow it and stop it either. If you want corporatism and fascism and slavery by contract because you feel safe with it, great, you can have it and pay for it and everything else. Just don't push it on me and anybody else who wants out, right? Because we got dual jurisdiction here, natural persons with natural rights, legal persons with legal obligations and legal protections. As long as we can find that middle ground happy medium, which it seems that it is possible, we're going to be good to go here. So
this is our power. So let's win big. God bless you all. Thank you all for coming and enjoy the rest of the rally.
By the way, this is also why I never listen to or give any kind of credence to groups of individuals who come together, because on their own they're powerless. And I'm not going to name names, but we know what some of that looks and feels like on these interwebs, on these supposed panels. So that's precisely why collectivism is a pariah and a curse on this world, because oftentimes, if not every time, collectivism is spurred on by the ambition and the impulse for a group of individuals who on their own can't do or be what they want to do and be, try to get together to leverage their false power in groups to get what they want and do what they want and be what they couldn't be on their own, right? That is very dangerous. That could be very rewarding and inspiring and co-creative if it's a group of individuals who can perform on their own and can see clearly and have discernment and are willing to make a way. Well, then nothing can stop those folks when they come together. The problem is, more often than not, good and great people who got something going on their own don't seek to get together with hundreds and thousands of other losers, let's say, who don't have much going on, right? So there's usually like a willingness, but a limited sort of venue where you will accept a certain type of person who's willing to do certain types of things and live a certain type of lifestyle. You can call that a cult. I'll call it culture, even though the root word might be cult. Community is another way to see that, right? We have shared value and power systems. That's what makes it work. So again, demo crazy, collectivism, all these isms don't work because usually, if not every time, it's a bunch of individuals who don't want to do the work and apply themselves to something over a long enough period of time to get a result and be competent and capable at it. They want to get together with other folks like them who want the same things, and they try to find a mechanism, usually the state and agents, to try to get some higher level of false power to get what they want and need without co-creating it the quote-unquote right way. Okay, so that's why collectivism is an utter failure. And guess what usually collectivists do, by the way? And we know a lot of folks like this on these panels. They seek to try to use their system and their false power to leverage their power with others so they can have what other people create or have access to. That's part of that socialistic ideal. And for you conservatards who don't realize it, you're already in that. You've been deep in that for a while. So it's never a bunch of weak ass, cowardly, foolish collectivists who get together and then come up with a bright idea and live happily ever after. No, they get together, they get entitled, they get sad, they whine and cry. They're not about shit. They can't create shit. So they try to look around the room and figure out who they're going to single out to try to extract some kind of power and value from. and there in one moment, government as we know it is born. Okay. And of course, it always masquerades on the idea that it's going to love you and care for you, and it just wants to help you and keep you safe. No, it recognizes it has no power or little to no power and value on its own. It recognizes if it gets together with other powerless, valueless beings, that it can leverage its false power, and that it can extract power and value from certain powerful and valuable individuals who are in alignment with co-creation. All in one moment, government as we know it was born. And I got to tell you, the majority of content creators do in fact reflect that holographic and reflective reality. And that's why you are in a culture and a society and a non-unity that you find yourself in. Because everybody's full of shit. They don't actually love you. They don't actually want to help. They don't actually want to keep you safe. They want to do everything I just described, despite what they say or even show or not. The cause and effect and the results prove it. Okay. So, by the way, this holographic reflective idea, where is it? I got it here somewhere. Because, you know, it's one of those ideas that is not readily understood, I guess. Or I'm not making it readily understood. So this is a pictograph, not a pictograph. This is a picture that should reveal the idea all in one image. So I don't have to keep trying to language it out with words. You know, as they say, a picture paints 1,000 words, or a picture's worth 1,000 words. So I'm going by that philosophy here. So when I say holographic and reflective, I'm saying the part reflects the whole reflects the part. And if there's one truth, one life, one way, then everything either does or can reflect that, or misses that mark and that understanding, and then is fallen into some form of quote unquote sin, because you're divided from the holographic and the reflective. You're divided from the one truth, the one life, the one way, into your own truth, your own wish for life, your own way, and it never works because it's based in pride and ego, especially the folks who tell you they have no pride and ego. Those are the most prideful and egotistical folks. And I've corrected on one of my Gorilla Gems intros. I've even made that mistake. And I've said, I had to kill off my ego. It's not that I killed it off and I don't have it. A better way to put it is I had to rein it in like we do at court and get it directed toward to serve something greater than myself and my and everybody else's feelers and wants and desires that oftentimes cause us suffering. Okay, so be very wary when an individual slips into a place, especially with regularity, where they don't correct themselves and try to pass off a story that they have no pride and ego, and that everyone else is prideful and ego, when they're some of the most prideful and egotistical folks, because they want to remake all of life and creation based on their feelings rather than the truth and the facts and cause and effect and what it shows. So here you'll see the picture. This is 2 leaves from a plant. Okay, and this is going to be evergreen. This comes from my Facebook from a few years back. That's popped up in my memories. So I figured I would share it here because again, holographic reflective, it doesn't matter how much seeming time passes. The truth doesn't change. The revelation doesn't change. Maybe how we communicate it does, or what we add to that communication may be updated. Right. So those are, and it's clear for everyone looking, unless you're completely degraded and blinded, that those are leaves from a plant that in fact, in every which way possible, reflect the bird who stops by to experience with the plant. Right. So that is like a hummingbird is my understanding, or what I believe it to be. I'd have to look deeper into it, but I believe this plant regularly has interaction with hummingbirds, and the plant produces leaves that reflect the creatures it experiences with. Okay. So again, it's not that plant over there doing its own planty stuff. This is life on life's terms. This is holographic and reflective. The plant over there has life inside of it that is also inside of you. It's one and the same. And it produces an expression that is holographic and reflective of all of the creation that it is inside of and a part of and connected with and experiencing at this time. Once again, the plant has shown an impeccable ability to be more purely intelligent and co-creative than the average slave I watch and listen to on these panels. Doesn't think, doesn't want, doesn't desire, just purely reflects and expresses holographic reflectivity, life on life's terms. Sir and ma'ams, that is the absence of, or not even the absence of, the complete pure direction of what you call pride or ego. Okay? Because obviously you need some conscious and aware or unconscious, unaware force that directs its will into what we see as time and space to create an outcome. That's the best way I would say to describe this idea of ego. Okay, so when you sit around whining and crying and stomping your feet and begging for others to do your work for you and wishing and hoping and praying and wanting, that is not the absence of ego and pride. That is the complete dissolution into pride and ego. A lot of folks lying to themselves and others on here, and worse than that, making a career or attempting to make a career out of it. This is the purest expression of ego-driven, in a healthy fashion, holographic, reflective, co-creative expression. It's called, you just look one time and we all know. Even if you can't describe or explain what it is that we know. Imagine that. I want you folks to ponder on that for a while, that idea. Thousands of words by an egotistical, prideful, foolish being, whether it's me or somebody else, all to try to point a finger to and communicate an idea that the plant just purely does with holographic reflective expression. No words necessary. You look and you just see and know, and you don't even know oftentimes what it is you're seeing and knowing, but it does something to you internally, hits you right where it matters. Hits home, as they say. Do you see the difference? So let's get back. Let's refocus. We got to get back because I'm now off in the weeds now. In what inspires and excites and attracts me. And that's not expertly. That's not authoritarian. Right. So I'd like somebody to come here and explain to me what that just was when you're ready. How the plant can make a fucking bird with its leaves. I want you to explain that, consciousness and awareness, lack thereof, ego, how that all relates. And then I want you to tell me again how I'm crazy and what I'm saying doesn't make sense when we talk about holographic reflectivity. And that's just one example. You know, we go to the dynamics as we have before, power and values, to any one of these electronic systems, and then we can reverse engineer that and correlate that with our own systems, our own bodily, biological systems that are also power and value related. Again, when you go to an electrical system, a charge controller, they tell you, set the power values. This is what I love, right? I go, there it is again, Paulie boy. You turned around to try to learn solar so you could set your own system up, and you went into the charge controller, and it says for the charge, it just, even the charge controller understands what a slave can't understand. Set your power values. Hello? Set your power values. Power is a dirty word. Unless you're a collectivist like this woman on Fox Noise and you're going to give your power away to have choice, non-choice. See the game? So even the charge controller understands that in order to produce real power and value, you have to set your power values just like you do as a human being. And when we look at the solar charging mechanisms, it's all the same as a human being's charging and power and value mechanisms, right? We take in light, whether it's the sunlight or actual information, because information is synonymous with light, metaphorically, allegorically, throughout the ages. So we take in actual physical sunlight through our skin and our eyes, and we take in actual information light through our ears and our heart beingness. we transfer that, transmit that, and then we transform that into a different form of value and power, and some might say electricity, the same electricity that powers your devices, powers your body, right? Because we know that the heart is an electrical device. So once again, it's like, you know, they come here and they say, Paulie, what the fuck are you talking about? You're out there. And I go, I get that. This is what inspires me, interests me, fascinates me, attracts me. This is what, to me, is a saving grace. This is how oftentimes, because again, I'm just bringing you into the mind of a crazy sovereign citizen and the spiritual belief system. There's a psychology to this. If you want to get through tough times, one of the best ways to do it is to recognize holographic reflectivity and to remember you're part of the whole here. That your little story in the back of somewhere with you doing whatever that you think nobody's watching and feeling and experiencing is part of a greater story here that's constantly unfolding and expressing itself. See, this is how you find complete power, value, and significance while also recognizing how powerless, valueless, and insignificant you are. Because again, there's paradox here. There's different levels to it. This is how you keep your ego in check while also having your ego serve a higher calling and a higher purpose. I guess what might be referred to as a super ego may have been referred to in the past as that, if I understand that application correctly, which I may not. I don't have to. I have my own understanding of it. Right, we'll get back to that at some point, because again, it interests me, it entertains me, it fascinates me, it attracts me, the holographic and reflective, and the revelation that anywhere we look in this creation is everywhere that we look in this creation. Or is everything that makes up this creation, rather, right? So everywhere that we look is everything that makes up this creation. You can't deny that, and therefore you can't deny that you are in fact part of that, and therefore you can't continue to live in a world of division and separation. That is very inspiring and empowering and co-creative when you align with this understanding. And again, this is not something we talk ourselves into like every other bullshit belief system, politics, religion, all the rest, legal systems. This is something that by removing all of our impediments, we can actually look around us and see, and by seeing, know or understand, and by understanding, see our place in the world and our world's place within us, or not. Because again, there is no my idea, your idea. There's an idea whose time has come in order to offset an idea that's been here for the longest time that isn't working, right? That's why I laugh at the folks who come here other places to mock me and people like me. They don't understand. Again, universe, holographic and reflective. If you can't identify where I'm crazy or where I'm not making sense because it's above and beyond your head and your pay grade, you're probably the fool in this one. Because there is no such thing as Paulie Boy's little old brain and experience and ideas. If he's this passionate and in alignment and co-creative with the linguistics and can explain the understanding and reverse engineer it and apply it to every other being here, this is probably a revelation you might want to get out of your pride and ego and understand what the fuck I'm talking about and how and why it applies to you. Just saying. There's a good chance that this one thing that excites me and inspires me while the rest of the world, quite frankly, either bores me or leaves me dissatisfied is probably because this is the one thing that most of the world, if not all the world, is not looking at and not choosing to understand. And when we look around at the problems that we face and find ourselves in, it just so happens to be that is where all the power and the value is that we can't locate and can't seem to integrate. Wouldn't you know it? Pretentious much? I don't know. What does that mean to you and to me? The link is down there. Again, I'm actually somebody who's spent most of their life trying to get rid of the worries and the cares about what you and others will perceive about me perceiving experience. See, that's one of those impediments I was just talking about. I have to learn in this life to not allow you and other selves here to be an impediment to me perceiving reality and expressing myself about that. Let's see. Let's let this person work for us if we can. I got a police chief here. I would prefer if he and others come up when they disagree with me, but usually they're cowardly, so they don't do that. So then I have to argue with myself to try to help them work for me to get something out of it. I also could just block him or just ignore him, but we cater to the lowest common denominator here. They need the most help. Let's get a baseline here. It's always good, even if we think we know the meanings or say we know the meanings of words, to try to relook them up and refresh ourselves. Attempting to impress by affecting greater importance, talent, culture, etc. than is actually possessed. So I that might be true. You could argue that for probably the majority of culture and society, right? You know, this is what I always find interesting is they will come here and tell me I'm pretentious by talking about on my channel certain ideas that I show work for me in certain arenas where the majority of others fail or don't even try because they're so afraid. So somehow I have some program, practice, process, procedure that allows me to confront fear in a faithful way over and over again, and not only do that while the rest are cowardly and refuse to do that, but I get results in those venues. So I don't see that as pretentious. Quite frankly, I see it as this is an underrated, undersold, if you want to put it like that in quotes, story or idea here. It's far from pretentious. Pretentious would be coming here to try to tell me what it is and isn't and project onto me when either you don't know the story or you refuse to accept that the story that reflects I am that we call me reflects on every other self here and can be rather miraculous and magical in certain ways. So yeah, I find that to be another common theme with the folks in inversion land. I'm pretentious here, giving testimony about a life-changing revelation in reality that when applied to every other self here changes their life as well and reveals a whole reality to them. But what's not pretentious is voting for a master and paying slave tax because they're going to keep you safe. And Donnie, no one knows more about everything than Donnie and the experts and authorities, right? That's not pretentious. It's me in my area where we're censored and shadow banned. By the way, have you noticed lately what's going on over here, folks? I mean, you got to ask yourselves, right? Like, did just overnight, all of a sudden, we went from at certain points there, over 200 live viewers. Do you remember the few days there where I was regularly doing over 200, 300, 400, 500 live viewers? I mean, for 5 years straight, we averaged 150 at least, even with censoring and shadow banning. But that wasn't enough. So now we're expected to believe here now, just like the first channel with 23,000 subscribers that can't get over 15 live viewers, that we're averaging 30 to 40 live viewers over here as of recently. With everything going on in the world and everything else coming out, viewers are going to be lower than ever, right? Right, because as this person points out, I'm just so pretentious. You know, they throttle up and down during PSYOP season, remember? Well, of course I remember. Of course I know. I've seen the games long enough to know. That's what makes it even more obvious that they're doing it. All I hear is victim's mentality. Okay, I'm going to remove you because it couldn't be further from the truth. Again, call in, tell me who and what you are, what you do, what you stand for. I guarantee within 10 minutes, we're going to verify that you're everything you're calling me and everything you're taking credit for is what I'm doing. Because we've done this enough times to know how this game works. Okay? So far from it here. Folks are not victims here. I'm far from a victim here. If anything, I have victor consciousness. The whole idea about what I do is the world is in the hands of the dark one and in a deception, and it looks like all is lost and there is no hope here. But out of the darkness comes an I am presence animated by the eternal force of truth, is one way you could look at it, and true care, to shine a light within self and outside of self, because as within, so without, as above, so below, and actually be a leader and an inspiring force to influence not only self and others to make a change. And we've done that and are going to continue to do that. By the way, I have a whole new crop of folks who went to court this month, who didn't hire an attorney, who didn't take bond and bail, who didn't sign any papers, who stood on business and got results again. So again, sir, ma'am, whoever you are, you're most likely an alternate account or a neutral. Understand the shop before you jump out the window. Know where you're at, who you're dealing with, and what it all is before you start verifying that's you or not, because it's great content for us, right? It doesn't change year in, year out. It doesn't change, right? Because the truth doesn't change and the lie doesn't change either, by the way. Right. It's not my pretentiousness. It's your insane inferiority complex masquerading as superiority complex, where you are in fact a disempowered, oppressed victim, but don't want to face that. So you could go on the walk with me and others to stop giving your power away and standing as the victor and the inspired, empowered person under God with God-given rights. That's you. How could we be a victim over here when I'm still gorilla seasoned out, half dead after whatever health issue I have and whatever else, coming back from the dead, still having pain issues and whatever else, trying to move past it, moving past it, still doing what I do, showing up for myself and others and getting results with others where it matters, at the court, with the law, with our rights. How could I be a victim and show up the way that I do, consistently how I do for so long, despite everything going on around me, and do what they told me was impossible with others who at one point in their life wouldn't have believed what the fuck they're involved in and getting results in was possible. Sir, don't tell me about inspiration, leadership, influencing, co-creation, inspiration, empowerment, and all the rest of it. I'm living it. I'm guiding others to a facilitated event where they're living it. And of course, once you re-inspire people or remind them of what they forgot or never recognized, they no longer need me. That's the truest form of inspiration and leadership, where you put them on with the fucking clientele and the connect and you send them on their way. And when they try to play the game of Paulie boy, you're the gold, hold my gold, you remind them that no, that's you too. If it's me, then it's definitely you. So walk with that, be that. While you want to tell me about pretentiousness, whole dozens and dozens of folks coming off drugs and alcohol who come to this area. This is why I laugh. They're censoring and shadow banning me while we're leading a whole generation of folks out of slavery, genocide, addiction, and bondage on multiple levels, not only with policy and code, with alcohol and drugs. You want to tell me about pretentious while we're literally changing lives over here, starting with self on multiple levels and extending outward to other selves who gather here and do fellowship here. You couldn't be more off the mark. Let's get back.
Out of Michigan, Democrats holding a general election kickoff event there. We're expected to hear from some more big names today. Democratic nominee for Governor Jocelyn Benson, Democratic nominee for the U.S. Senate, Abdul Al-Said, as well as Democratic candidate for Attorney General Eli Savit, as well as the Secretary of State, the Democratic candidate Garland Gilchrist, and Michigan Democratic Party Chair Curtis Hurdle, as well as the former Secretary of Transportation Pete Buttigieg. This is an event there that we're listening to out of Detroit, Michigan. So, of course, we will be bringing you their remarks as they come in here on Live Now from Fox. Just taking you out to another look that we are getting right now. This is a look as we are expecting another event to get underway featuring Mike Collins. This is in Georgia. In the Senate race, Rep. Mike Collins topped former football coach Derek Dooley and advanced to face Senator John Ossoff, the only Senate Democrat running for re-election in the state. So looks like he's also holding a campaign event there. You see him in that white shirt there on your screen talking with some people. So just some live feeds that we're monitoring for you here on Live Now from Fox. What we are going to do right now is we are going to slide away for a quick 2-minute commercial break. Our coverage continuing in moments.
All right, maybe we transition here. No, not like that. Put away the hormones. You can't even see my Ringling Brothers sign on here. We got to get a better format. We got to acquire StreamYard. We got to become a partner here so we can influence them. I'm so sick of politics. Well, Jimmy Myers, I've always been sick of politics because intuitively I've always felt like politics was nonsense, and now we seem to know that it has been that all along. So that's good. We only watch it to entertain ourselves and inspire ourselves to do and be better, and remind ourselves why we don't engage with certain people, places, and things beyond a certain extent. Because really, like at our core, a lot of us, as antisocial as we've become or come off, we really do care. And like want to love and be loved and want to be a part of stuff. It just never works out. And I'm speaking for me. Maybe you're not like me. You're probably not. Maybe some of the Enslavians who gravitate here like me. It's like, but so yeah, it's just a constant reminder of why we're the way we are, why that's not a negative thing, as long as it's not, right? We're not lying to ourselves. And then entertain us about the world we find ourselves in, and then inspire us to do and be and have better. And then and again, it's like a morbid inspiration for me, because it's like, okay, every time I watch this and then listen to the average slave public, I go, oh my God, I can't believe I'm here and I have X amount of time left here. So like, I'm going to take that time that I have here, just completely put off by these slaves and their nonsense, and be inspired to just do and be more and try different things. And that like just pushes me past my fears. That just allows me to have faith that when I'm misunderstood and I'm not well received, that I don't want to be. Because for the longest time in my life, early years, right, I was suicidal. I was depressed. Like I was down on the fact that I couldn't relate to people and they couldn't relate to me. Now, looking back, I'm almost thankful and grateful for that, because I realized more about what that all is. You're not supposed to want to relate and connect with and be a part of people supporting, paying for, and begging for slavery and genocide. They're Babylonian swine scum. Okay, and that happens to be most people. So you're not supposed to trust that. Like that's not love able. That's not honor able. That's not account able. That's none of the able words. Right? So what we're gaslit and taught is an antisocial disorder where we can't connect with most people, and there's something wrong with Paulie Boy, because he doesn't want to engage in slavery and genocide with the rest of us, or hang out with us and drink and watch the game and ignore everything else going on. Something's wrong with him. No, that's a gaslighting game. Something's wrong with you that you want to drink and go to work and watch the game and ignore the slavery and genocide forever while you beg for it and pay for it. Something's wrong with you. See how we don't take our power back. We just stop giving it away by buying into and believing that these people have an answer for us without having an answer for themselves in the world. See, that's inspiring. That's entertaining. That's freeing. That's empowering. I can now walk through life with a get fucked attitude when I choose. It's all love and light till it's not. And I got to remind you of where I sit in the continuum as far as conscious and awareness and perspective goes, right? I can see. So when necessary, I employ a get fucked modality because I can see. And it's clear that you can't. And more importantly, you don't want to see. Right? So those people, places, and things are not for me that can't align with that idea, right? That's inspiring, that's entertaining, that's freeing, that's empowering, that's also disciplining, because now I have a standard to abide by. I can't just like and love and hang with and co-create with anybody all the time. That's going to waste all of our time, energy, and attention and get us nowhere, right? So now we have some conditions, some standards, some power value, some power values coming into view. Again, we're back to a functional community. That's how a community works. We have to align on certain power value systems. Hey, we're all going to work every day to get these certain things, to get the things that we need so we all don't go hungry and broke and sick. Okay, cool. We're all not going to support, pay for, and beg for slavery and genocide. Can we just get on board with those two fucking things? We're good to go. No, we can't. Okay. We're going to support slavery and genocide because we're going to chase paper to get the things we want without having it backed by anything. So the cash is incredible and the people are not credible. Right. I'm not going to go along to get along with that because that's a road to hell paved with good intentions, in quotes, as it always is. Right. So politics, like any other experience here, is holographic and reflective and inspires us if we let it be, and reminds us of certain things if we let it be. And on the other side, like it always is, if we let it be, takes us away from who and what we are, what we can be, what's inspiring and empowering, and leaves us in a boring, mundane, chaotic, cyclical cycle of insanity that is devoid of true meaning and power and value and purpose, and any kind of co-creative choice. So again, life is what you make it. See? You're sick of politics because in your core, you know, most likely, to correct me if I'm wrong, Jimmy Myers, you're sick of politics because in your core, you're a coward and you can't do and be what you want to do and be. And they've told you all your life the only way to do that is go to them. And on some level, you don't believe them anymore. Right? But you also won't take an active role in your life in becoming what you're meant to be. Because I know once I started doing that and continue to do that to some extent and work with others to do that, oh, I love politics. I think it's fucking great. I'm going to put this on every time I come here and I'm going to show you who and what they all are and what they do, and what it's all rooted in and where it goes. And then I'm going to remind you of the opportunities we have and what we could do and be and create and what we're already involved in. I think that's fucking great. I think that's really entertaining and inspiring. You know, again, it's what you let it be. It's what you make it. Wait, no, I said we were going to go inside the mind. Okay, so we went inside the mind, but now we got to go to articles. Let's go to some articles. Some tabs. I have 111 tabs open. Okay, we did this one last time. The cops are breaking down on the witness stand, going over what your politicians are up to. Turns out it's not exactly keeping everyone safe. We got team takeovers because it looks like they're setting the stage now to scare everybody once again that your fellow man and woman and the young people are something you got to be scared of. This is the second story in a month or two about teens and influencers taking over everywhere. Something's got to be done. We don't have enough resources. By the way, I get it. And you see me talk about it here as far as it being a source of inspiration in a sense. It can be. The flock camera idea. I'm just going to remind you guys, and it's crazy. I have to be the voice of reason here at times. I'm supposed to be the one going, fuck it, more flock cameras. They all go down. Rights, freedom, principles, spiritual faith. But again, the other aspect of rights and freedom is responsibility and accountability. You guys all begged for this for decades and paid for all of it and complied. Now, when it gets so out in your face and open, you want to start doing destruction of property on a mass scale. That's not the answer. And let me remind you, how your masters work in consciousness, I'm not talking about the cops or the courts or any of that. I'm talking about the ones beyond that, the hidden hand. How they work is they get you to do something out of a seemingly pure or correct inspiration so they can spin it for something other than what it is. So again, if for the longest time you folks would have just stopped fucking complying and cooperating and paying, this all would have been over. This would have been changed at least. We've proven that. You all don't want to do that, but now you want to go around and destroy property. Well, guess what Paulie Boy thinks they're going to do now? Paulie Boy thinks they're going to double, triple down on it, and they're going to pay people to break the cameras, and they're going to sell the story that we have a mass event going on here across the nation of unruly, unlawful folks who want to do illegal activity and potentially a sovereign citizen movement, okay? And they're going to start deeming people to be part of groups and terrorists, and if you let them, they're going to bring in centralized, militarized troops from Israel because they just merged the fucking militaries. You better wake up to what the fuck is being laid out on the board here. You better start to fucking wake up. If you're going to wake up at all, I don't know, maybe stay asleep. At this point, you wake up too many of these cowards without discernment and God's will, it may be worse. They may need to stay asleep. So they didn't merge Israeli military with U.S. for no reason. They're going to merge more of them. And the reason for that would be presumably, some might say, because they're seeing and planning for more civil unrest. And they want to make sure they have denationalized troops who aren't part of this nation, this country, who can come in to do the dirty work without compunction. That means no feeling for you and your people. Okay? So go ahead, keep complying, cooperating day to day in your life and paying for this shit and not knowing your rights and the law and standing on it at court. Keep at nighttime acting like Batman and doing vigilante justice and cutting shit down and destroying property and burning shit down and everything else. They're going to set the narrative that you folks are illegal and unlawful, that you're doing terroristic activities, that you're hampering investigations to solve actual crimes, and that you are part of an overthrow of this government and a sovereign citizen movement. And they're going to bring in Israeli troops, and they're going to bring in NIH troops or NWO troops. What's the group? Well, I'm not getting it. I'm giving the generalized theme, but there's a certain, what is the group? There's a certain organization that they've talked about in the past out of these memos, Project for New American Century, PNAC, and other documentations. They specifically, UN troops, right? They specifically talk about having to have a UN governing body council and a centralized UN military that is non-specific to any nation. So they can quell any kind of dissent on these nations if it gets out of the hands of the domestic authorities, right? So don't kid yourself. They see Paulie Boy and others waking up and standing for their rights and exercising them. They see us getting traction at the courts. They see us now living free and doing what we want and not having to pay them. So of course they're going to back a movement where you start blowing shit up, cutting shit down, breaking shit, doing illegal shit, because the alternative is we're actually going to get our freedom with our rights on record with civil disobedience and not have to do anything unlawful or illegal. And we're going to be respected again and honored again and trusted again as the American people of and by and for the people. They don't want that. It doesn't want that. It's not about they. The spirit of corruption to kill, steal, destroy, deceive, and disempower does not want that. It does not want you in true love and true care, inspired, empowered, co-creative, true love and true care, in faith. It wants you in fear and reactivity. It wants you in kill, steal, destroy. It wants you pursuing illegal actions for retributive and for retribution and vengeance. And that's exactly what you folks are doing. Why are you cutting down the towers of what you funded and complied and cooperated and begged for? So again, this could go either way, right? I'm not saying it's a touchy subject. Because I'm not saying you can't have an effect. I'm saying the opposite. We absolutely can have an effect. I'm saying it's a slippery slope when we're doing cart before the horse. When you didn't stand in honor and trust and good faith and uphold the law and your rights at court or anywhere else, and now you want to get to cutting shit down and doing what they call legal activity, which technically is destruction of property. And then we could get into the philosophical argument, the legal argument. Well, whose property is it? If everybody pays into the trust to have that property erected based on the spoken or unspoken social contract, does everybody not have a share in that property? So it could be argued, you're doing destruction of your neighbor's property who wants more corporatism and fascism while you all pay tax to build it. So you're cutting it down on one hand while you're paying for it to be put up on the other hand. That's insanity. It doesn't make any sense. And it's not necessary, because by just 3 to 5 to 10% of folks being loud and proud, so to speak, and in truth and caring and honorable and good faith, this changes today or tomorrow, overnight. But see, when you want to bypass honor and trust and equity and good faith and co-creativity, and you want to go to start cutting shit down now and doing destruction of property, there's a very good chance they're going to try to set you up for this. So again, I love the inspiration and the will to go above and beyond and put your life on the line, right? Because that's what you're doing. You're gambling your life and your freedom to cut down this property. If they get you, they're going to try to stick you with years in prison. Fuck it. I love that. I respect that. Could we just get it 6 degrees separation over here to where we're not doing destruction of property anymore? We're just standing within our rights. We're not cooperating. We're not complying. Hey guys, I got a clue for you. If you didn't have license, registration, insurance, and plates, flock cameras couldn't do shit anyway. They can only track you because you're so deep in the matrix 10 different ways that they got your data and everything between point A and point B, and you compliant with it. So again, this is why when people, they mock me, they say, Paulie boy, why do you care? License, registration, insurance. What, are you broke? You can't afford it? Yeah, I can't afford the $40 a month. It's not the point. I know it doesn't begin and end with license, registration, insurance, and plates. It ends with a camera up your ass and wires in your brain and them tracking everything you fucking do. That's why I stopped complying from the beginning. I never complied to begin with. It's not that I stopped. I never complied and bought in to begin with, because my intuition always told me, this isn't what they say it is. This is something else going on here. COVID proved it, like so many other psychological operations and genocidal events. So again, destruction of property is not the answer. That's what got us here. You're dishonorable and bad faith. Non-compliance with your own slavery and genocide is the answer. That's the opposite of what got us here. See, you can't solve a problem with the same level of consciousness that created it. I know yous are all upset and desperate, and you feel like you finally woke up to your slavery. You've been paying for it, begging for all along. Oh, well, boo-hoo. Get over it. The answer to that is not acting out now. And listen, I've been telling both sides this for years. I've been telling the agents, hey, if you guys don't uphold the law and uphold people's rights and even advocate for them, I don't even care about upholding them. I'm saying uphold them and advocate. Like you don't even stop people because you know you're going to violate rights. If you do stop them, you are like sucking their feet on the side of the road. Hey, sir, ma'am, I'm just stopping you to make sure that everything's cool and we're good to go. Do you need me in any way? No, you stopped me. You shouldn't have. Okay, cool. I'm not taking nothing from you. Go about your day free and brave. Shouldn't have even stopped him to begin with. I've been telling both sides this the whole time. You better start advocating for the people you're enslaving and their rights, and you better stop your policy enforcement games, because you're going to get to a point here where people are going to start doing destruction of property, and you're going to be at civil war in a sense, cold or hot. And we know where it goes from there. They're going to try to take it out of the hands of the local, state, and federal police. You know why? Because all at the same time, a lot of the local states and federals are starting to realize that this is all a bunch of nonsense and they don't want to live in it. But again, I shouldn't have to be one of a few on a broadcast censored and shadow banned in the back of YouTube, demonetized on a second channel, while all these other clowns are pushed, and we don't hear hide nor hair of the majority of folks out there in these positions on the ground, on both sides, in or out of uniform. If I go onto my page right now, onto my algorithm, based on who I am and what I search, you're not going to see or hear anything. It's almost like what we do and what we talk about doesn't exist on the world stage predominantly. More reason why you folks in or out of uniform should be making a racket, making noise, standing on something, bringing the awareness to this. Teen takeovers. Let's see what Fox Noise has to tell us about the teen takeovers. As I said, they're setting the narrative on multiple levels, and you folks with the flock cameras are playing right into it. And you got to start to learn how to survey the board. Where's your boy at? There's a new guy in the algorithm now. This is what gets pushed. The white guy with tattoos who just got out of prison who wants to argue with people about white and black people. That gets pushed. Why? Because it's divisive. Because it's part of their order out of chaos. You ain't watching the board, you dig? I don't know if you have all seen this guy yet, but if you don't know what I'm talking about, you'll see him. He'll be in your algorithm soon enough. Folks ain't watching the board, you dig? They're not looking around at what the media is pumping on both sides and reverse engineering why they're doing that and how their life is going to play into that, while they, on a simultaneously parallel timeline, chart their purpose, meaning, value, power, and future. Because it has to be this and that. You can't neglect your work and your purpose to survey the board and watch them so you can respond or react accordingly. Right? One comes before the other. And again, you shouldn't have to watch the board and update your program to understand destruction of property, and that we didn't get here overnight. We weren't just free and brave and they popped flock cameras up. You all gave everything away 10 different ways. If you took everything back and stopped giving it away, the flock cameras don't matter no more. They can't use them. So we got to go, again, stop going cart before the horse.
Welcome back into Live Now from Fox. We want to shift gears here a bit and talk about some of the trends that we're seeing across the country here. Do want to bring this up on your screen here. And what you're looking at is this viral teen takeover movement here that we are seeing across the country. And I just want to give you a little bit of background of what we're seeing, as from upscale waterfront neighborhoods to malls, parks, and packed restaurants, viral teen takeovers are erupting across the country, with police responding to fights, robberies, vandalism, and gunfire as massive crowds of juveniles overwhelm public spaces. And you can see there, we have 4 boxes there of these teen takeovers in Chicago, Florida, Washington, D.C., and Atlanta, Georgia. So what we want to do now is bring in our next guest onto the program here, Michael Gold, who is the founder of the NYPD K9.
And we know that you're using frequency machines to ramp these events up. And we know you're doing culture creation with the racism, because I see it on the periphery. I'm not in it, but I see it. I know why they're doing it, because they always do this. So it's a script. It's a program they're running. So now they're going to get a bunch of young black folks inspired by the stories of racism to act out and claim they're doing teen takeovers, while the flock cameras are being cut down and we have a mass sovereign citizen scary takeover happening nationwide, right? And listen, while there's actually an awakening happening, by the way, like there is actually an organic, authentic awakening happening and we're part of it. We're seeing it here, of just regular folks who may have everything else in life, or opportunities to have everything else in life, but don't want any of that because they see something bigger and better and more important that needs to be done and addressed here. So, you know, again, this is the best of times. This is potentially the worst of times, because you're going to start to see a lot of the false flags, the psyops, the projections, the lawfare, false arrest, and all the rest of it potentially heat up. And you're going to see a lot of people potentially come out against this and lose their positions. I'm going to do like Brandon Biggs does. I'm going to go ahead and lay some predictions down here, because again, we're already seeing the first beginnings of it. We've been seeing it for over a decade, presenting itself here and there, here and there. It's just going to become more rapid and more present, more ubiquitous.
Unit and a former NYPD officer. Michael, thank you so much for joining us here today. So talk to us a little bit about the difficulties here that law enforcement officers experience when it comes to trying to deal with a large crowds of juveniles like some of these that we've seen on the screen here.
Yeah, certainly. So thanks for having me, Bowen. So this is nothing new. Urban teenage violence, teenage rebellion is part of the fabric of our society. We all, to some degree, rebelled when we were teenagers. This, of course, is taken to another level, but nothing new. In the 80s, I was a member of the NYPD, and there was a phenomenon called wilding. Wilding meant gangs of teenagers spontaneously went on sprees of violence, mugging people in Central Park through the theater district, unannounced and very spontaneous. It's difficult because teenagers are generally not held to the same standards as adults. So they treat it completely different by the criminal justice system. In fact, there's a separate system. There's a juvenile.
Well, this person seems to understand where this guy's like a product of a bygone era. He's talking common sense. He even looks kind of like Hollywood Italian. Shut up. This guy doesn't know anything. He's fucking unsafe. He doesn't get it. This person in chat gets it. That all these teen takeovers, all this rebelliousness, the cutting down of the flock, all this is due to unregulated slavery. We need to tighten the belt loops. We need to tighten the buckle on the slavery. Slaves are running around. They're in cities. Yes, they're disarmed for the most part. Well, at least the ones who abide by the code. The ones who don't always do whatever they want. So we can't figure out how that works, but okay. But, you know, they're still like, they're running around. They have kitchen knives. You know, they have fish hooks. They're dangerous slaves. They don't have licenses for any of this stuff. They need curfews is what I'm saying. We know this because if you just go to the like, this is why I agree with the magatards to an extent, but then they just are completely mind and heart controlled. Like they have 10% of the story and don't know the rest. But all you got to do is look at the leftist city and you'll see where all the world is going, right? Complete policy code, fascistic, corporatistic, socialistic, Marxistic. It doesn't matter what the istic is. It's called succonistic. That's what the philosophy is called, succonistic. It brings a whole new twist on the istic, right? Because again, behind all the ists is the Luciferianism, the deception that government can ever or wants to ever keep you safe. So yeah, thank you for the guy in chat. Credit to you, gold star to you. The same gold star they're going to put on the slaves like they did with the Jews when they decide who's going to get exterminated, how, when, why, if you let them. We need curfews. We not only need this disarming of the slaves city to city. We need tracking and tracing and scanning. We need documentation for every slave, and we need them in bed and up at a certain time. And we got to make sure they fill those private prisons and get to the factory. One or the other. Get in bed, get up, get to the factory, produce for your masters, pay 40% to Elon so he can put an extension on St. James Island. Right? Either get in that prison and make license plates for the state to do slavery, or get to the factory and give them 40%. You choose. That's your choice. You get a choice, non-choice. Okay?
Justice system. So it's very difficult. So nothing really happens. There's no consequence. And we live in a very permissive society now. So it's a very difficult problem. And as the summer approaches, it's going to continue.
Well, you all want it to continue.
What role do we see social media?
You all want it to continue. Then you can justify that we got a big problem and there's a war on white people and there's a war on Republicans and we could bring in more troops and we can Heil Hitler. And you all can say it's conservatism and republicanism. We can bring in more ICE to shoot citizens like they've been doing because they're just profiling off how you look. Yeah. Just descend into more and more fascism and Holocaust behaviors for safety.
Play when it comes to these takeovers, and what sort of does that really prove it to be more difficult for officers, or does that help to maybe track down a location that it might spark at and kind of nip it before it happens?
Right. So it's a double-edged sword. So law enforcement does have the intel of searching social media, but these things happen so rapidly. Law enforcement just don't have the resources to deal with these types of things. When you look at these are hundreds of kids, maybe 20 cops. And they can't really be arrested. They're not detained in the same way as an adult would be. They're just turned over to their parents, to the custody of their parents, or to a guardian. So they never interact with adult prisoners or adult arrestees, I should say. So,
right, and this is another push that we have by the supposed Republicards and others for safety, which is we need to put people in jail younger and younger, right? We need to start like making codes and policies to where if you're 10, 12, 14, 16 years old and you're like doing what a lot of us did, which was acting out because you come from a broken home. Well, that's cool. But now this time you don't live and you learn. You like go to a private prison. You know, we need that. We need more of that for safety. So like, again, we're not concerned tracking and tracing the government on both sides, who they're in the files on all sides, admitting to human trafficking, drug trafficking, endless wars, backroom deals with other nations to do New World Order. We're not worried about any of that. No, it's the teens. It's teen takeovers that we have to be worried about. We need tracking and tracing for, and identification, and thousands of codes in private prisons. Should I go to the article again? I'm going to pull this article up once a week. Should I go to the article where the state of Arizona, or excuse me, the private prison company sued the state of Arizona and said, quote, we don't care if people aren't breaking laws, aka not following codes, because codes aren't laws. They don't even care about that. They said, just send us more people. That's quoted in the article in their testimony, that the agent for the private prison says, we don't care whether you do unlawful or illegal. Just send us people to put in these fucking cells because you all have a contract with us. This is all just one big money-making scheme and scam. That is fascism. There's no other way to see it. America was never supposed to have private prisons on this land that have contracts with the state where they sue the state for not sending them enough slaves to house when they're not committing crimes. That is beyond insanity. And you all on both sides just woke up today and acted like it was normal because it hasn't happened to you yet. Like it's happened to me and so many others. You haven't been dragged off to a private prison yet without having a victim and actually committing a crime.
So it's a tremendous problem. And as I said, the summer triggers all this thing, permissiveness, parents not taking responsibility. So it's a societal problem that's existed before, but social media certainly adds fuel to the fire, for sure.
And I also just did want to play out one of these comments here that we heard from a Florida sheriff here. I just want to play it and see what your thoughts are on this.
So the person down there in chat now wants to go to the other level, and I knew this would happen. This is why I cover these things, because I know they're going to give me the 3 to 5 talking points and perspectives. Oh, we got to get back to beating the kids, don't you know? That's the real answer. We got to get back to beating the kids so that when we're not around them, because we're constantly outsourcing our whole life to a factory and to a government, they're in so much fear they don't decide to step out of line, right? No, that's not an answer either. Let me help you out here, because you can't figure it out, because you're such a dyed-in-the-wool fascist corporatist. You think it's capitalism. You give your whole life to a state and to a corporation. You're supposed to be with your children. You're supposed to raise them. You're supposed to care for them. You're supposed to protect them. You're supposed to stop them from doing stupid, fucked up shit. But you can't do that and be a part of that because, again, you gave your whole life over to a corporation and the state, which is a corporation. And you want a system to raise them or keep them in line, or you want an emotion to keep them in line, mainly fear. That's how you raise a cowardly slave who's run by fear. That's how we got here. How could how we got here be the answer? To raise another generation of fearful slaves, just change who they're afraid of. Instead of being afraid of the state to oppress them and abuse them and beat on them and whoop them, their parents are going to oppress them, abuse them, beat on them, and whoop them to make sure they whoop that disorderly free spirit out of them. How about you all get more comfortable with the free spirit here and channel it and direct it toward not being a corporatist, fascist, fucking cowardly slave? How about that? Instead of figuring out how you're going to mirror your oppressive, repressive government to try to domesticate everybody here when there's no victim. We never heard yet once they tried to sell it up and play it up. All the robberies and all the rest of it. We didn't hear about any actual victims. We didn't see any actual victims. We heard about teen takeovers, large groups of young people getting together to do what? What? They didn't even tell us. You don't even know, but you're already in a fear space. You're already projecting onto those young people. You already want them beat and have something done to them. There's your fucking slave mind and heart. And it was just so easy, too. All they had to do was get these well-to-do, civilized, sophisticated, lying, corrupt white people in here in glasses and suits who want to do endless wars on the whole world and turn everybody into a hoe to tell you all about what it was. And you bought it hook, line, and sinker because you got a slave mind and heart. That's the bottom line. Just like my father did back in the day. When they came to the house to blame me for why they were going to take his guns on New York that he had a permit for, that he didn't need to have a permit for because he had a God-given right to have it. But you can't have it without a permit because they took your God-given rights and sold them back to you. Oh, they blamed me, took his rights, and he sat right there with the cops, said, Paul, this is your fault. You're the reason why this is happening. Yeah, I'm the reason why you all gave up your rights and freedom long ago because you're a bunch of punk cowards who don't know the law and don't know your rights. I'm the reason. See? Nothing's changed. Yous are all the same. Yous all put your responsibility and accountability and cowardice off on the next generation for what you've done and not done. So let's cut the games with ourselves and each other. Okay? Yous all just need a new enemy and something to focus on, because we're now at the point in the story where we realized your authority was always illegitimate and false. You're all some of the most corrupt, power-hungry, greedy, selfish, money-hungry scum there is. You're not here to keep us safe and help us. So you need a new list of enemies and causes we're going to fight to take the energy and attention off of that revelation that who could have possibly seen that coming, Paulie Boy and so many others, from the time they were 12 fucking years old, going on 25 fucking years. Okay? That's all this is. Like it always is. Every time mom and dad are shown to be incompetent, incapable, deep in debt, can't love or care truly, don't know a fucking thing, it always becomes about how Junior isn't doing what he needs to do and what he's supposed to do to take the light and the energy attention off how much of a loser, coward, failure you are. Isn't that how it goes in the abusive, dysfunctional, codependent household? Isn't that how it always goes? What makes you think your society and your government is any different? One reflects the other. Again, holographic and reflective. Yeah, we got to get back to the young people. Their loud music and their drugs are the biggest fucking problem ever. While all of that is a response to what? Having a meaningless, purposeless, valueless group of adults here who claim authority without God, trust, equity, and faith, who have no real authority and power, who also are not honored and respected. Isn't that always the case? Of course it is. As if we don't understand culture and countercultural movements. Of course we do. This is every generation. Irresponsible, unaccountable, cowardly, childish adults who don't want to fix their own shit and the world they live in, who, when it becomes apparent they're failing and losing, start focusing on everybody else, including the children, to take their mind and heart off of their loser, cowardice, failuredom. Yep, every generation plays the same fucking games, and it's just that easy. Don't ask the children or the parents where they all learned it from either, by the way. Where they learned the unaccountable, irresponsible, cowardly, deceptive, manipulative, corrupt ways. Don't ask them where they learned it and why they're acting it out and playing it out. Because then you might get the fucking answer you don't want to see and face. It all begins right there in the home, right there in the self. You all aren't kidding anybody.
Here real quick.
I'll guarantee you, they start cutting the fool, tearing up people's businesses, fighting in the streets. We're going to lock them up, all of them.
Yeah.
And then mom and daddy, if you don't hold...
Are you going to lock up the people who overthrow the law of the land with policies and codes here, the centralized police and military, with the endless wars? Are you going to lock up your politician class for human trafficking and doing the endless wars? And sending whole generations to private prisons who didn't create a victim? You gonna lock any of them up and stop it? Of course not. The young people are the problem.
Hold them accountable personally.
Yeah, we're gonna hold them accountable.
Sure are
you gonna hold yourselves and everyone above you accountable? Of course you're not, because you're not responsible and accountable, and you're a fucking coward. So how dare you try to project that onto the next generation when you don't live it and don't even know what it is? Laughable.
When they need to be, then we're going to come lock you up too.
And here's another clue for you, big boy. If them young people and some other folks around here ever decide to, and this is all what it's designed to do spiritually, so I'm not going to feed into it, but I will comment on it. If them young people and some other folks ever decide that your rule and your reign is over, it ends that day, and you all know it. Just like in the prison. The whole threat is you're going to send everyone to prison where the prisoners run everything. Everyone knows that. Ask the guards and ask the prisoners who runs the prison. They'll both tell you simultaneously the prisoners run the prison. So what game are we playing here? Exactly. Right. The game of power games and false authority. The moment in the day that everyone stops deciding to comply, cooperate, is the day that all your tough, big talk goes right out the window and you're sent packing. And unfortunately, it almost has to go that way because all the folks who represent law and order don't know universal law and are not in actual co-creative order. They know legalism, which every time leads to fascism, which is the definition of disorder. So when you get to the point where the young thugs on the street are more trustworthy and honorable and good faith than the people in uniform who are supposed to be upholding law and order, we all got a serious fucking problem on our hands, folks, as far as culture and society goes. And that's exactly where we're at now, whether you all know it or not. And that's exactly where it always goes. If you're wondering, by the way, that's the foundational principle of America. If you go through the Midwest and all the West, they got statues every 10 feet. Guess who the statues are to? Not to the cops, not to the feds, not to government. It's to folks like Jesse James and others who didn't follow policy and code, who got tired of it and went to fighting back at a certain point and resisting the tyranny. And they even put agents in the fucking ground. Unfortunately, that's where we're going back to historically, culturally, because of how reprobate and corrupt you scum have become inside of uniform as supposed professionals. Now the thugs and the outlaws on the ground are more honorable, good faith, and trustworthy than you are. And the people are going to start to reflect that. They already are. They're backing all the people cutting down the flock cameras. Don't you see where we're at here? Oh, and at some point here, we're going to cover the term sovereign citizen because it's another idea that the majority can't get right on all sides. Oh, you can't be a sovereign while you're a citizen. Oh, yes, you can. You could be sovereign and a citizen. This is the 2 or 3 camps that we always deal with everything. And then Paulie Boy's got to come out of left field and bring clarity like always. Gives me a position in this life, at least. Gives me something to do. We'll go right to the Google definition of sovereignty. We'll show how sovereignty means supreme authority and ruler. That is not you in or out of uniform. That is not you as a citizen or not. See, there's the game again. The game just popped up to say hello. Yous are all in your pride and ego. You all want to talk about what you feel it is and think it is. None of you want to address what it actually is. And when you do, everyone gets shut up all in one moment. None of you can be sovereign at all, ever. Well, Paulie Boy, what I meant is the sovereignty lies with the... No. Bullshit. You don't philosophically understand what the fuck you're talking about. Your bullshit constitutional contract in there codifies the idea that all power and value comes from God, along with rights. There's your sovereign. You don't want to make any men and women here or recognize sovereignty in any man or woman because that turns man or woman into a supreme ruler or authority. You want to keep man or woman subservient to the supreme rules and authority, which in this case, for argument's sake, we could say is rights and truth. Okay? So you're all wrong again. Because you all don't want to go to definition and true meaning and purpose. You all want to support what you want it to be and what you feel it is. And every time you do that, you're fucking wrong every time. And the scripture talks about lean not on your own understanding. You don't have that kind of discernment to do that. Stop trusting your own discernment. It's not discernment. It's ignorance and arrogance. They always lose their power. Every time they go to the same place to get their power, it's the same place they fucking lose it. Every time. On the quest for control and glory. On the quest to try to know beyond the knowable. What can never be known beyond a certain point.
So just listening to the sheriff there, or could we possibly see any sort of repercussions when it comes to parents of these kids that are out and about with these takeovers?
Yeah, certainly. So the sheriff is right. It's a little tough talk because the reality is police can arrest everybody that crosses the sidewalk illegally. But if the prosecutor and the judge don't do any type of formal sentencing and holding them accountable, of course, so logically the parents will be accountable civilly for sure, because kids have no money. So they have nothing to, there's no consequence, as I said. So
what did he just tell you right there? He just communicated an idea. He doesn't understand that idea is the corruption that brings everything down. That there's two places that a man can be accountable. At the court with a legal system with their fucking earthly parents. They never identify the third court and the third path in life, which is the most important. None of them ever acknowledge it. They don't even know that it exists, and they're never going to tell you about it. The idea of conscience. It's not possible for someone to be unaccountable because they have to live with themselves and what they've done and not done in conscience, and that is God's tool. So while you go to court for payoffs and you go to your parents for love-offs, God doesn't play favorites, and there's no buying and selling with that. So you got to live with your conscience that you will always be accountable to, and it will destroy you if you don't work with it and repent and reform yourself. This is why I laugh at you folks in your idea of worldly, earthly court acting like that's where justice is going to be found. It never is, never has been, never will be. What you think justice is validation from a system or compensation from a corporation or a corporate individual. That is not justice. I'm not going to name names, but for the folks out there who don't get it, try to get what the fuck I'm saying and how it applies to all of us. I'm not beating up on you. I'm revealing the truth to you that you keep ignoring. Nothing of what you've been introduced to and presented to you that is limited to the five senses can ever be the true power and value or connected to the whole of true power and value. It is always an illusion and a deception to some extent. It is always an inferior modality. And you think that's all there is. That's the crazy, scary part. The thing that's inferior, you all think is all there is. That's the game. That's proof of the deceiver. That's also proof of the co-creator. Because how could I feel before I ever saw a reality that I had to conjure that once it came into view, once I speak it, explains all of the reality you all live but don't understand? That's God. Truth, life, and way versus the deception. And the deception looks and feels so real every time. That's why it's a great deception. And listen to them talk, all the experts, all the know-it-alls, all the folks with all the experience. How much experience could you actually have if the whole time you were experiencing, you had a limited consciousness to gain the experience? You only took in so much information and experience. There's a glass ceiling. See, you didn't even get the whole experience. You got a limited aspect of the experience, and you call it the whole experience. There's your ignorance and arrogance. They're going to be held accountable at court or with their parents. And there's a third option. Everything they did wrong, they're going to have to relive over and over again. Everything they didn't do to stop wrong, they're going to have to relive over and over again. God's got a way to show you when you're guilty through conviction what justice is really all about. And it doesn't require any earthly modality and mechanism here. And to believe that it does, and that's all there is here, is the problem. And what got us here, the solution is the antithesis. And again, your worldly and parental courts and court system can only be as good as a being who's conscious and aware. So if they don't know the truth I just spoke, their courting and accountability is the waste of time. Because when you go to them for accountability, the only thing they know how to account for is dollars and cents. And they don't even care. That's backed by nothing and not even real money. How could your system be worth anything when it's full of people who don't know what true accountability and responsibility is? They think it's dollars and cents rather than co-creation and character. Hello? Right. Tell me all about justice and remedy at these courts filled with reprobate minds and hearts who don't care for the truth or to be set free, whose best efforts and help only leads us deeper down the garden path into deception and disempowerment. While you claim to be winning. Do you see the game now? Do you see what this all was really about and why we're here? Do you see how you got caught on every other journey and path but the real thing? The one thing that mattered is the one thing you didn't see and wasn't shown. It's not so depressing. It's inspiring. See, again, that's you. For you, it's so depressing. For me, it's exciting. It's inspiring. It's entertaining. It separates me from the majority of the rest. It proves and validates value through rarity, value through understanding and explanation and true experience, or true enough. Power through being able to see and understand and communicate to others to give them a different perspective so they can get more options to choose. Inspiring, entertaining, exciting, empowering, co-creative, rare, value. And let's not forget, the only thing that separates those who can see and understand or speak it true enough, if not the whole truth, is the will to know and to understand and speak it and do it and be it. Literally. That's it. So every time that I want to get sad and depressed for the next slave next to me, I have to remind myself, they get an opportunity and a choice just like I do. They don't want it, so they're getting everything they deserve. Because the word deserve, as we know, because Paulie Boy had to do a word breakdown and hit us over the head with it. It's right there in front of our face, but we didn't see it. That's proof, by the way, of everything I just spoke. The word deserve has been in your face this whole time, and none of you saw it till I took it apart and put it back in your face. Deserve. Based on who and what you're of service to will dictate what you get in life and what you deserve, because it literally means of serve. That's not depressing. That's exciting. That's inspiring. That's co-creative. That's entertaining. You mean to tell me that if Paulie Boy and others put themselves into this life and put themselves to something in this life that matters, that has some kind of importance and value and true power in it, that we're going to be blessed, we're going to be rewarded, put under a different warden, like the ward of a state or a ward of foster care? Yeah. That's great. That's all of law and order right there. I don't need, while these people descend into chaos, claiming to know, with no rudder, on the ocean of emotion, I have a stable, eternal truth that guides me and leads me and reveals to me and reminds me that when all is lost and all is dark, I am above and beyond that. A supreme source of faith in all situations. That is not depressing. The only thing that would be depressing is how few folks are accessing that, even though they have an opportunity to access that. Well, that's their choice. They don't want it. They're not going to do the work to get it. They would rather lie to themselves and each other and attack me when I show up with the truth that forces them to have to do the work, because ultimately they're cowardly and lazy. They deserve everything they get here. Matter of fact, you could argue these people have deserved more in the negative sense, and it's not been brought down on them because the force of creation has protected their bitch ass for so long. And at some point, you're going to see that protection lifted, and it's going to be like the ceiling caved in on folks, because they've been allowed to exist this whole time, been given freedom and choice over and over again, being forgiven for their ignorance and arrogance over and over again, just like with me on a micro level, on a macro level. God of all media reflects God of creation. I allow them hundreds and thousands of times to come here, to use me, to abuse me, to blaspheme, to lie, to play power games, to do everything and anything other than get with truth, life, and way. Let's get down to something. Let's do some work. Let's serve something here. So you think when the inevitable invariable comes in karmically to show what you put out is what you get back, that I'm going to be depressed and sad about that? No. I fucking begged you. I begged you for decades and lifetimes to get your shit in alignment and work with me and walk with me. You don't want to do it. So you don't deserve anything better than what you get. As a matter of fact, you deserved a lot worse. You just been had it put off for the longest time because the force of creation is dying like I am and everyone else here for you to fucking get a hold of it so we can really get to something here. That truth is living and dying inside of you, begging you to go within and uncover it and walk with it. How do I know? Because I know me. You just can't interpret what that feeling is. You can't interpret it for what it really is. You feel it. You think it's something. It's this person did this and this, that, and it's this and my whatever. And no. It's the spirit of truth at your core, living and dying and begging you to go within and uncover it and reveal it and bring it out and live on it. How the fuck could that be depressing, knowing that there's a living God and a living purpose and meaning and plan already inside of you waiting to unfold? You just got to be faithful and brave enough to expose it and walk with it and not give a fuck how everything goes. Tell me all about love here too, by the way, when true love's first word is true. And if you don't face the truth in love, it's not love, it's codependency and cowardice. Codependency and cowardice is the absence of true love and care. Don't talk about what you don't know about and don't know about what you don't live about. A being who serves this system and pays for it to rule over them without non-compliance can never love themselves and therefore can never love anybody else. Stop the lie, stop the grift, stop the cope, stop the cap. Begging other motherfuckers to do your work here too. Somebody who loved themselves and knows what true love and care is, understands sacrifice, would never beg a group or an individual motherfuckers to do their work here. Wrong again. Let's get back. They still don't get it. Another couple lifetimes.
The sheriff is right. Parents should.
We apparently still don't get it because I could get it and still not got it because I got to remind myself to stick to the practice and regularly don't adhere to what I say I know that I seem to know. That is a practice. It's not a state of attainment. See why it's so powerful and valuable for all of us? You don't just get there, got it, good. It's you get it. And if you ain't got it, very not good because you're more accountable and responsible if you know it and don't do it. You're worse off. See?
Be held responsible, but it's not as simple as that. So arresting people is easy. That's the easy part. And cops are very willing to do it. But if the prosecutor and the district attorneys aren't willing to, and judges aren't willing to sentence them to some consequence, whether it's community service or financial accountability, schools are no longer.
I can't even get through 5 seconds without exposing the idea here. You shouldn't have to force a motherfucker to serve their community. If you got to force people to serve their community, your community is a disaster anyway. It's over. Wrap it up and let it go the way of the printing press, essentially. You shouldn't have to criminalize rights to force people to serve their community. That is ass backwards. See? People should be living into righteousness and automatically, intuitively serving their community because they're part of it. But see, if you have a community that doesn't know their rights and doesn't understand their only purpose in this life is service, well, then you fail to have a community. So you can't even do community service because you got to go find a community first. And then you got to figure out what service is. And it has nothing to do with forcing people to do the right thing. Absolutely not.
Longer accountable. It used to be.
This is back to the Taoistic understanding. What is a good man but a bad man's teacher? What is a bad man but a good man's job? This moron and all the rest of them are bad men masquerading as good men because a good man's job is a cop. And a cop is going to try to force you to serve a community while none of you even know what community or service is. So your best efforts only harm because you're in delusion and deception. Do you see how that works? The road to hell is paved with good intentions. The way that you serve your community is by becoming good and great and then teaching others what goodness and greatness is. 1,500 years before Jesus, it's all right there in a book called The Way to the Way. What is a good man but a bad man's teacher? What is a bad man but a good man's job? We're in inversion land again.
Schools, you would get suspended from school if you committed acts outside of school, but it's just not that way anymore. So it's difficult. But the sheriff's right in theory, of course.
And could we potentially see harsher legal punishments maybe for juveniles who participate? Is there an idea in your experience?
People don't want to serve without getting a guarantee of pay or privilege, right? But they don't understand that's called being a trick or a hoe, because the whole world's pimping and hoeing. They just don't know it. That's called pimping, tricking, and hoeing. When you only step up to do something when you're guaranteed payback in coin. When you don't just do what's right because doing what's right is a part of who you are and how God created you to be. Right. That is Mammon and Molech. That is the product of a fascistic corporate society, corporatist society. And that is literally pimping, tricking, and hoeing. And the spirit behind it, which is a Luciferian spirit. Your guarantee, non-guarantee, is if you do what's right and do it often enough and encourage others to do it, maybe, just maybe, you don't completely go to slavery and genocide here. And if you do, it takes a few hundred years. You don't do that and you're there overnight like that. Welcome to the party. Hope you brought enough slavery and genocide to share with everybody. I wouldn't want to be left out.
That the young kids feel that they're almost untouchable by the law because they're under the age of 18.
Yeah, so completely they feel untouchable because the system allows it. The unfortunate thing is I've always seen in my law enforcement career, when a teenager turns a certain age, whether it's 17 or 18, now they're treated as adults. They're committing adult crimes. So on their 18th birthday, what they could do on their 17th birthday is now criminal. And they're quite shocked by whatever the crimes were, whether they were stealing cars, shoplifting. So it's a reality check. As far as changing the law, I don't see it happening. Psychologists will tell you that the brain of a 16-year-old, 15-year-old isn't fully responsible, so therefore they can't be accountable for their actions. Unless
let's take this all the way once again. This is so laughable. The brain of the average collectivist slave isn't fully developed when it comes to accountability, responsibility. They could be 60, 70 years old, and I can't get to understand what they pledged allegiance to all day, every day, which is free and brave. They can't respond to it with reasonability. They can't account for how they're doing it or not doing it. So again, laughable, this guy's sitting here using words like accountable and responsible when he hasn't experienced them yet. He just believes he has. Accountable, responsible people don't outsource their security, safety, rights, and freedoms to armed troops and centralized banks. That's the antithesis of that, by the way. I had a hilarious conversation with this woman over here who's on the land with me, the wife of Ramiro. For those of you who know the situation here, she's wanting to branch out and do some part-time work. Okay, great. She's got in with however she gets in, like we all get in at some point, with the corporatists, and they're telling me all about. She says, "Will you sit in for a presentation to help me for my job?" I said, "Okay, but I already know where this is going to go. No matter, we can do it. Try to have some fun with it." What's the first line she gives me? This is how I know God and the devil are working overtime. Her first line in her presentation to me, in between asking me what I do for a living, which, I wound up doing a broadcast for her to an extent. Her first line to me is, "Here at such and such financing, we believe in less accountability and responsibility." Cue Paulie Boy the Gorilla. He just now gave him everything he needed to start his own broadcast right in front of your face. I said, "Ma'am, just when you're done with your spiel, I'm going to give you my word, but it's so great you said this," right? I light up in these moments. And then when there's a break and a pause, I go, "Now let me give you my presentation. Here at Paul Enslaved Industries, we believe that less responsibility and accountability is what got us all here. That's the problem. That's not a branding. That's not a solution. That's literally the problem." And then I went on to go back to her presentation about how Sly 2. Ma'am, remember when you said to me, Sly 2, that Tony makes $2,500 a month, but spends $5,000 a month with credit card bills and accessories and eating out and all the rest? Tony doesn't know how to do math, I guess. But in a world where your company strives for less accountability, responsibility, Tony doesn't have to be accountable and be able to count. And he doesn't have to be able to respond to that accounting either. He can just make $2,500 non-dollars a month, spend $5,000, and everything's going to be okay. Ma'am, that's not how cause and effect in reality works. The fact that you believe that that's possible through your system is a direct reflection of the government that you're under. Because your corporation you call government is in debt to the tune of 40 trillion. And if you took the national GDP, it would take them 80 years without spending a dollar to get out of the debt that they're in. That means they're insolvent. That means they're a failure. That means they're underwater. That means they can't sustain themselves in their household. Okay. So it's laughable. She shows up reflecting all the problems that get us where we are in society without any understanding of what got us there. And her answer was, well, sir, I don't understand anything of what you're talking about. Maybe our financial expert does. Right. You're presenting me a product and want me to sign up and don't even care enough to know what the fuck you're presenting and don't even realize it's the opposite of everything true and right. What a coincidence, huh? That those always go together. Those who are willing to believe absurdities will commit atrocities. Yeah. You're willing to believe in and accept a lie without questioning it and push it on other people. Do you wonder why this culture and society is a failure and is ending as we speak? It has to. Because of precisely the 30-minute presentation you gave me today about financial insurance, this culture and society needs a great reset. It's obvious. Because you think somehow, some way, less accountability, responsibility leads to more prosperity and success. Even in your example you provide, you're delusional and in denial. See, I have to even give this rap not only to life coaches, but to bankers, to financial supposed experts and advisors. I have to give this rap and this logic, morals, ethics, and common sense and financial literacy. I even have to do this broadcast rap, non-rap with all of them. Because they can't find their ass with two hands and they can't even fucking make sense. And upon questioning, their whole belief system and ideology crumbles before my eyes under the weight of common sense. That's never a good prognosis for a whole group of industries and fields. I've dealt with all of them. Doctors, lawyers, financial advisors, bankers. I've dealt with all of them, folks. And they all have that one thing in common. They don't care to know the truth or about what they're pushing and selling or what they're involved in. It's always a half truth that is mostly a lie. And the rest of the truth that's going to save us here, they ignore because it's profitable to ignore it, therefore verifying why it's slated for failure. So it's like, not only can I not invest in your product, I can't invest in your culture and society or you, because you go by brandings like we believe in less accountability, responsibility. And it's literally the antithesis of everything I'm out here living and practicing and teaching. Not because I like it and want it, because I need it and I know it's the only answer. The absence of that is the problem. Look around you. Your religions, your government, your medical system, your legal system are all irresponsible and unaccountable. And they don't care to be responsible and accountable because it's more profitable for them to ignore truth than it is for them to face it. Proving why they and their system has to fail, okay? Proving why Paulie Boy and the system he's working with has to succeed because of inherent hierarchical power and value systems, see? Bring it all back full circle. Let's get back. I'm not an expert.
It's extremely
I don't know
serious, crime, murder, rape, robbery, and so forth.
And then with your experience, we were talking a little bit before the interview. You've dealt with situations like this throughout your career. What motivates young people to act rowdy like this when it comes to disrespecting businesses and vandalizing? In your assessment, what's the motivation behind this?
Right. Well, I just think it's, lack of some level of moral fiber, that they are not volunteering when kids were teenagers should be out volunteering. Peer pressure is...
You're not getting it. You don't get it. I get it because I was there and I was one of them. And I've seen the answer now for myself, so I know the non-answer. They don't like you. They don't respect you. They don't value you and your non-teachings. They don't think your system's worth anything. And your money isn't enough anymore to buy them enough things to satiate them and entertain them to ignore the truth. That's what happens in a young person's life at a certain point. They stop caring. They notice you don't care. They don't see any redeemability in living here and being a part of what we call life. They see a bunch of hypocrites and frauds masquerading and lying, power hungry and money hungry. So they just at some point say, fuck all of it. We don't want to be part of any of it. As a matter of fact, we want to watch your face when we upend all of it. You don't know that? You all don't know that? Culture and counterculture? You all don't know underworld, overworld? You all don't know masculine, feminine, impulse, how this all works? Toxic masculine, toxic feminine impulse.
Huge. Back in the 80s, as I said, there was a phenomenon called wilding, where
Right.
groups of youth just accumulated.
Because back in the 80s, you were running the same games and the same lies and the same endless wars that led to the same banking and housing crisis that led to the same economic crisis for the same reasons. So, of course, the same young people said, fuck you and your system. We're going to go get high and we're going to run free with the wind. And we don't care about your lies and your fraud. And you can suck our dick in public. And when you put us in jail, we're going to sit right there and show you the reflection of what you've created and not done here. Yes, we know what that all is. It's called self-destructive self-sabotage because these young people have no actual leadership, influencing, inspiration, and direction on the whole that matters, that is actually archetypally valuable and powerful. It's all bullshit. It's all fraud. It's all illusion. Yep.
They didn't have the same social media, but it
never
still
surprises me why things go the way they go. Isn't that interesting?
And it was hard to police. But kids, again, this is a social problem. It's not a juvenile problem. It's not a.
Oh, and by the way, you know what comes with this too, with the signs of these times? Rampant promiscuity. Something I wouldn't know much about in my earlier years because I had so much pain and self-doubt and lack of self-care that I didn't even believe that I could be loved or be desirable, even when women used to hit on me and try to have sex with me. That's a whole other story. Okay, but you're seeing that now in the signs of the times as well. Rampant prostitution and promiscuity, because you're witnessing the downfall of a once potentially great, if not great, culture and society that has completely degenerated and degraded. For obvious reasons. Look at who's running it and at the core of it and what they believe and stand for and don't believe and don't stand for, right? It all makes sense.
It's a social problem that kids don't have outlets to, as I said, volunteer in some organization, get involved with something, sports or something else. So it's just, school's out for summer as the song goes and violence erupts and it's going to be a long, hot summer as usual. Nothing new here. Deja vu all over again, Bowen.
And with the summer just around the corner here and school is out, what do you think law enforcement or parents or businesses can try to help do right now during this summer to maybe crack down on what's been going on?
Yeah, so I might be a little biased. So law enforcement does what they do. There's a saying, we don't write the music, we just play in the band. So we enforce laws. That's what law enforcement does. Legislatures make them.
No, wrong again. That's why the young people don't like you and don't respect you, because they don't even know why you're wrong, but in their core, they know you're full of shit. They just don't know why. I had that impulse at the core of me from the beginning. Then I had to look and I found, right? Police enforce policy. They're policy enforcement. That's why they're called police. It's right there in the word. Let's try to lie better if you're going to lie. Policy enforcement, police enforce policy and code and statute. They don't enforce law. Law doesn't have to be enforced. Law is upheld. It's synonymous with peacekeeping. That's why you keep or uphold the peace. Okay? So another statist, fascistic, corporatistic, cowardly, legalistic term they can't get in alignment with and they can't understand the difference of, don't want to understand the difference. That law is never forced on people. It's upheld by keeping the peace and allowing everyone to do whatever they want to do if they're not breaching the peace. That's how the law is upheld. That's how rights are exercised. Policy and codes are enforced because you got to put a gun to somebody's head to tell them what to do with their life and property using 1,000 fucking codes. Let's not make any mistakes here about what we're talking about.
Judges sentence people. So parents, it's the big one. Parents have to be responsible for their children. If there's a curfew, for example, like in Washington, D.C., the parents have to be civilly responsible. The society is trending that way. We've seen that in school shootings and so forth, where parents were held responsible for the actions of the kids that went into schools.
Yeah. I'm done with this fucking lowlife. And you know he's a fucking inauthentic, corporate, cowardly, effeminate clown because he's got a white suit on and big Charles Nelson Riley glasses. We're ready to play match game with him. Fill in the blank. If you think policy enforcement is law enforcement, you might be a what blank. I should have prepared for this. You know, I'm never as prepared as I could be here. You know. All right, one time we'll run it one time because why not? Right, everybody, it's Match Game with Paul Unslaved. And of course, your policy advisor, Charles Nelson Riley. Well, hello there. Why, hello, everyone. Everyone knows that law enforcement is policy enforcement. All right, Charles, we got our first question for you. I want you to fill in the blank. If you think that law enforcement is the same thing as policy enforcement, then you are a what? Fill in the blank. Well, Paul, I would have to guess a slave. Yes, Charles, you're absolutely correct. Charles Nelson Riley, everybody. We love him. Right, we can tell he's an inauthentic corporate beta male because he's in a white suit. He's not going to get his hands dirty. He's not going to get his newly polished, manicured nails dirty in his white suit. He's another wannabe pimp and player, right? Isn't that how he shows up? They're all pimping and hoeing. They just don't know it. Maybe they do know it. I mean, if you ask me, yeah, I was like he woke up and said, I'm going to dress like a fake-ass pimp today. Fake-ass, weak-ass, effeminate corporatist in my white suit with my Charles Nelson Riley glasses. And I'm going to tell you all about the law / corporatism and fascism, all I've ever known that I grew up in. I don't even know the universal law. I don't know right from wrong. I don't know truth, life, and way, honor, and good faith and trust. I don't know anything about it. Imagine this. A whole generation of young folks supposedly led by supposed men and women who don't even know what it means to be an actual man or woman. And then when they point to their value and power system, it reeks of corporatism and fascism, by definition. Let's go over to it because this is what this guy supports. You're not fooling anyone. I don't care if you're on Fox Noise because you're pushing centralization, policing, and slave mentality. Let's go. Where is it? I got it up here somewhere. They're now tracking the people state to state who are buying weed because that's our biggest problem. It's not Donnie and Joey and Barry and Billy and Georgie Boy and all the rest doing endless wars and experiments on the people and all the rest of it. It's we got to find the guy who went to go get weed and got tracked from point A to point Z getting weed so he could get pulled over and have his fucking rights taken. Okay? Wisconsin cops tracked a man across state lines with the sheep flock, the flock of sheep cameras. I love when they mock you slaves. I love it because it's just going to inspire you to get right or not. I mean, hey, we're here. I'm down for the ride with you. I got to live out the consequences of your choices on a macro level. So, and I still show you care and or acceptance, even if I don't like that. I want to believe that's the Christed beingness within me. So, for the flock of sheeple out here who really love tracking and tracing and safety, Wisconsin cops tracked a man across state lines with flock cameras to arrest him for weed. And it goes on here. I'm just trying to get to the part where it talks about how much, because I have to know, you know, it's like we're going to be talking like an ounce of weed here because that's the most you can buy at the store. And they tracked him from his house to the dispensary across state lines and back. Because that's safety. We get to know everything that you're doing at all times. They looked at his license plate, found that he travels to Michigan frequently. Of course, they couldn't prove the cameras alone. And he was going to Michigan to buy weed. Apparently just going across state lines is enough to create suspicion. Right. What used to be a right, travel from state to state, now is enough to create suspicion to get them to start investigating you. Yeah. Just like when Paulie Boy was 50 miles from the border and they just pulled out of nowhere. It stopped him and his buddy in two different cars. They had two cars waiting. Almost like they were investigating already because everything is suspicious, and they try to take my guns and all my property and everything else and try to keep it and destroy it. Yeah. Because, you know, we're going to criminalize all your rights if you let us. And I got all those guns back. So they'll say, Paulie boy's dark and morbid. He's depressing. It's not depressing, because every time I tell you they try some shit, I always wind up better off for it. I get all my shit back. I stand on the truth and rights. I get recognized at court. I show them that they have no power over me if I choose, and I continue to do whatever the fuck I want to do. That's not depressing. That's inspiring and heroic. To me, I'm going to be my own main character in this story. I'm done working for everybody else while you all work for the devil. I'm done. I'm done with it. Okay? And I don't care how your narcissism perceives it either. They like to project. Paulie boy's egotistical and arrogant. He doesn't want to work for others while we work for the devil. Yeah. If I want to do that, I could do that directly myself. I'm done placating. I kind of have been done since the beginning. I just went all the way with it, right? I never really was into dumbing myself down and placating a bunch of dumb and or cowardly slaves around me. That's why I've never gotten along with most people for the most part. Right. So just going across state lines enough to be suspicious in safety, in a world of safety. Once his car plates got a hit on a flock camera showing that he was returning home from Michigan, because again, the flock camera says or the people who program the flock camera say, you cross the state and are coming back, criminal, flagging, we're watching you now. And they wonder why I don't want to get license, registration, insurance, get tracked and traced. Well, I want to be free and have all my rights and do what I want to do, because it never ends. You stop it or it doesn't stop. They searched his car. Oh, no, hold on. They made a coordinated effort they intercepted his vehicle. So they didn't even have any proof he was doing anything. The AI robots thought he was suspicious. So they took his rights to travel, even with all the crap, with all the license, registration, insurance, and all the rest of it, still pulled him over and stopped him to fucking search him, to take another ride off of him so they could confirm that that bad boy went from Wisconsin to Minnesota to buy an ounce of fucking weed, which is another right. 3 rights we took off of this guy to do statism, corporatism, and fascism so we can all be safe. And it's really 4 rights if you want to get technical. The first 5 rights just blew them all up right in your face to chase this guy for weed, and the majority of slaves don't even know, and they don't fucking care. That's how deep in the mind and heart control they are. But it doesn't matter, because we're not going away, and we're not going to stop, and we're going to keep running our mouth in your face, if not in these back channels, at family fucking dinner, family, non-family dinner every few months or so, and everywhere else in between. It's all over. Okay? We're done. Some of us were never really on board to begin with. Now we're completely out and done. Now you only get our cooperation, our compliance when we decide, and everywhere else our default is we don't care, we don't want to know, it's not going to help our life, not listening. Don't need to. We owe no duty and obligation to United States Corporation or legal society. Never did. You're lucky you got our payment and compliance this far. And we see what it's done for all of us, by the way. That's why we're out now. You sign on to this and keep paying and complying. You're begging God in the universe to let you be slaved and genocided. That's what the fuck you deserve. I don't care how you see it. That's the way it is. Better know it like you know your name. All right, let's move forward. The secret of the Amish. We did that already last time. That goes away. We got Fauci on Lily's post on Facebook because I thought it was great. Lily posts, if you believe Dr. Anthony Fauci is an American hero, show your hand. And it just goes on, one after the next. The clamoring, the idol worship, the denial, the delusion. Yes, 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 Dr. Fauci forever. Both hands up. Dr. Fauci's a world hero of health. The repugnants have just lost any moral or ethical credibility. Do you see how you're all doing the same things and blaming the other side and using the other side as the excuse for why you're all doing what you're doing, while you're all claiming wrong is right and right is wrong? Do you understand what that is biblically, historically? Right, let's move on. I'm not even going to get into it because most of you here already know. Let's get a message when we got a sheriff, because it's PSYOP season and it's everybody's an enemy, but the actual supposed enemies who also aren't our enemy, once you understand the real enemy and realize you begged for it, bought it, and complied with it. So you are the real enemy. Turns out this whole time the real enemy is within, because you've not been all of your own best friend. If you won't be your own best friend and your best advocate for truth, life, and way, then you're your own worst enemy. But in false flag PSYOP season, we don't confront that harsh truth that we're all our own worst enemy and the enemy of the state or the nation. Better yet, not the state, the nation. The state as an actual nation, not the state as a corporation, right? But in PSYOP false flag, we need an enemy season. It's the motorcycle clubs now. Do you notice what they do? Do you notice the 5-pronged attack? It's almost like the hive mind decides, okay, we got young people, we got illegals, we got motorcycle clubs, we got drug dealers. We're going to really push that, amp that. Those are your big enemies. Everyone focus on that. Give us more money to fight all these things, while they're trafficking your children and sending your boys to war, as we know. While the inflation's doubling and tripling all assets and commodities over the past 5 to 10 years. You're going into a legalistic, moralistic financial collapse, and your biggest enemies and worries is how you're going to give more money to the cops so they can militarize to chase after the motorcyclists, the drug users and dealers, and these supposed illegals picking your fucking vegetables. Right. It's working perfectly. Let's get the message from the guy who's going to keep us safe. One of the brave, courageous folks who's out there every day risking their life for what's true and what's right.
We are out here at the Mongols Clubhouse as we wrap up Operation Mongolian Beef. We have 31 arrest warrants and 16 search warrants that we executed today. All of this is in result of what occurred on 44 during Bike Week. Federal government is out here, states out here, sheriff's office is out here, municipal police departments are out here. We just raided their clubhouse. We have recovered a plethora of firearms. And as I have said earlier, you lit the fuse when you acted like a bunch of scumbags on 44 and thought you were going to get away with it. Now, as we're running around, seizing weapons, seizing cell phones, seizing iPads.
And I got to agree with them. You fucking people are retarded. My camera's not set up right now. I should just point it up and set it up so I could look you in the face, non-face. He's right. You guys are fucking retarded. You get together, you form groups so they can more easily charge you, only so you could do illegal activity, and you don't even know your rights in the law. So when you go to court, you hire attorneys and cop out and rat on each other, and you all wind up fucked. You're absolute embarrassments on all levels. You have no fucking brains. You have no intuition or instincts beyond a certain point. And you're not courageous because most of you got license, insurance, plates, and all the rest of it, you Mongols and Hell's Angels and all the rest. You don't fucking do civil disobedience. You don't try to throw off the state and your oppressors. You don't stand for rights and freedoms. You want to ride around all day and act like quote unquote sovereign citizens, use drugs and sell drugs and not even know your rights and the law. So you fail at everything you do. And I don't know what this guy's talking about. We should look into it because of what you all did. He's probably right again. You probably did get out there in the public surrounded by a bunch of slaves who begged to be protected because you all wanted to go and play motorcycle car games like you always do, the boys and their toys, but you all couldn't control yourselves out in the public because you never taught how to fucking act and live. And you probably went off on each other because, big surprise, you all occupy the same arenas because really you're the same person at your core. This is what's so silly about gangs in general. The same people at their core dividing themselves up by colors and names so they can fight each other when they're all really the same person doing the same shit. And you probably put everybody's fucking health and safety in danger, and you activated the trustees and agents to have to keep everybody safe. Because you not only didn't stand for rights, freedom, and principles, you did the few handfuls of things that activates these status slaves to bring in their criminality system on you, right? This is why I don't respect and honor them either. They're not good faith either. Bunch of cowards and clowns as well. I don't give a fuck if you come and beat my ass and rape me in a prison cell one day if I ever have to go. It's not going to change the reality of what the fuck I just said. You know it and I know it. And the funny part about it is motherfuckers that get uptight in their feelings about what I'm saying should go to the next level, incorporate what I'm saying, get a hold of me, and let's get to something here. Figure out how to actually have true value and power in your life, to get out of your feelers, network with a motherfucker, work on something, and really get to something. That's another reason why a lot of you will never be truly co-creative and successful, because you can't get out of your own fucking traditional ways and your feelers about it. To do the next right thing, to work with a motherfucker who really might take you to the next level, but you're too worried about what the fuck he just said about you that was true that you didn't want to face, right? All you outlaws who pay the slave tax and have the statute, policy, and code down and register all your property to the state and can't own property without paying tax on it, all the rest of it. Where are you big, strong, burly, bitch-ass motherfuckers when I need somebody to stand on some activism? When it's time to toot meth and ride all night long and beat each other up at the bar, you're all right there. When it comes time to stand for all of our fucking rights and our family and our future, I can't get almost nobody, all the big, bad, tough guys, to get together to stand on something. Isn't that funny and interesting? I get guys like Julian. I laugh at it. Julian shows up here. He's Mr. White Guy from Ohio, Utah, Idaho, Utah, whatever it is. He's nice, kind, and polite, even better. He says, I don't want to be a coward and a slave, and I want to serve something positive here. And if you met him on the street, you'd think he was a Boy Scout. You'd hand your whole life over to him in a second. And they can't even rise to the occasion of that being who we see here. I laugh and laugh. I go, that's exactly how it's supposed to be. That's the movie. The movie is the guy who you would say in any other reality is a coward or a bitch, has more heart and balls than you for the right reasons, and doesn't have to play all the other low-level power games to be truly respectable, honorable, and powerful in this world. That's the game. That's the lesson. You all don't get it. And that's why you got to get together with 50 other burly, tattooed, loser, low-life cowards like yourself and stay on drugs all day, every day, because you can't even with 50 of you amount to one Julian. And I don't care how many tattoos you get, and I don't care how scary you look, and I don't care how much you scare the general public and each other, and even beat yourselves up to a pulp. Doesn't amount to a hill of beans. And it doesn't amount to anything we call true value and power. It is an absolute childish embarrassment. Okay. And this all just comes right back to square one of I need a daddy. You all need a fucking mommy and a daddy is really all this amounts to. And no, it's not your preacher. And no, it's not your politician. And no, it's not your doctor. And no, it's not your political party and all the rest of it. Truth, life, and way. God of creation, God force. Every single time.
This is just the beginning of the storm. We will be relentless in tracking down people that come into not only my community, but that come into this state and think they're going to operate a criminal enterprise.
Any occupants of the Mongol clubhouse.
Right, let's be clear. We're the only ones in uniform operating a criminal status fascistic takeover of America. And human trafficking and running drugs and doing endless wars for profit, having private prisons to overthrow the land. We're doing that. You don't cut in on that. Quite frankly, I agree with them. Yous all shouldn't be on drugs. Yous all shouldn't be running around shooting each other. There's bigger and better things we can all be part of here to really get these motherfuckers to respect and honor us. And this ain't it, folks. You're becoming just like them. That's why you're all going to the same place at the same time.
This is a search warrant. Come out with your hands up.
And please, do not think for a minute that the Mongols or any other motorcycle group is just these great people riding around having fun. The Mongols are recognized nationally as a domestic terroristic gang involved in extortion.
That's you, involved in extortion, like when you push all your policies and codes on us and tell us to sign papers on the side of the road and contracts, or you're going to take us to a box. That's you. You don't want any competition, right? We get that. Again, where's all the punk-ass cowards who beat each other up at the bars and throw grenades in clubhouses, but when they get to court like Alex Jones and all the rest, gotta hire attorneys, sit there with their head down, don't stand on the truth, don't exercise their rights, don't uphold the law, aren't free and brave. Where are they at? Nowhere to be found. So you got no fucking honor and good faith and credibility with me, And if you got none with God of all media, you got none with God of creation, because one follows the other, not the other way around. Okay?
Extortion, murder, violent crime,
that's
theft,
all of you.
burglary,
All
drugs,
of you.
and
All
they're
of you.
recognized in
All of you. Who are we lying about here, sir? That's all of you on all sides. Endless wars and murders, funding the terrorism so you could claim your victims to do more endless wars worldwide. Vaccine corrupt shots for everybody. 111 plead the fifth from Fauci. Sign the papers or we take you to a box. That's do this or else. Literally the pretext to extortion. That's all of you. You all just don't want competition in your worldly demonic way.
internationally. So today, law enforcement takes back the streets, and thank God nobody was killed out there. We know there were at least 7 guns out there and 4 shooters. You had people getting gas. You had kids inside of the gas station.
There you go.
We're not going to tolerate this lawless bullshit. We are coming to get you.
There you go. See, and that's why he's hard in the pants right now, because you all gave him the pretext to show up and put a damper on your competition with their corruption. This is why it is the way it is. Can't feel sorry for you. Now you can all thank the Mongols. You can thank you and your cowardly friends and family for not upholding your rights. And you can thank your Mongols and all the rest of the supposed outlaws and tough guys for misusing their rights and freedoms, because they got no discipline and accountability, responsibility. They want to use their rights and freedoms to do wrong behavior and put everybody else in danger, right? Both sides are the reason why this is fucking happening on all sides every time. Okay, let's address this person. What the hell? YTAT? Chili is love for what he does. This guy just runs his mouth and chokes on his fat. No, again, that's a projection. Bill Gates and Dr. Fauci are loved by a lot of folks for what they do and don't do. Perception is a motherfucker and fatherfucker here, okay? So what you believe it is oftentimes isn't what it really is. Chile de Castro's not a legal, lawful scholar. He's a fraud. Every time he goes to court, he fake cries. He hires attorneys to talk for him. He loses, pays $100,000, and then comes here to tell me and others we don't know the law when we go to the court without any of that and paying anything and get results here, okay? While he begs for money and sells products that don't work. He's an absolute charlatan. He's an absolute fraud. He's an absolute grifter. He's an absolute coward. The fact that you can't see those things and understand them, even when I point them out, is proof of why the world is the way that it is proof of why when Chile came here, he laughed in my face and said, Paul, why do you think I have more of a following than you? I have more numbers and I probably make more money than you. I said, so does Bill Gates. So does Anthony Fauci. I could go on and on and on. More money, more numbers, more support from a rabble populace with no discernment and no care and no courage is not validation. As a matter of fact, it could be seen as anti-validation, because usually when you're in a group or an endeavor or a venue where there's a mass appeal, it is as such for a reason. The masses are not attracted to accountability, responsibility, freedom, and bravery. If they were, we'd have accountability, responsibility, freedom, and bravery. We don't. We have cowardice, slavery, and genocide on the whole. Okay? So like meets like, cause meets effect. I'm not interested what you and everybody else who goes there thinks it is and feels that it is. I'm telling you what it actually is, and it doesn't matter what I say. I can show it to you better than I could tell you, but you won't look to see, and if you look, you won't see in order to understand and get the sense of it. I don't sell fake ass products here, even when they beg me to sell products, because what I do actually works. I still don't sell a product. I don't come here and beg the audience for money because I'm deep in debt and won't work and can't upkeep my opulent lifestyle beyond my means. I don't call myself a legal or lawful scholar. I don't call myself anything. I don't lay claim to a title that I can't stand on and have to hire attorneys to speak for me at court. What's the point of you having a broadcast and calling yourself a legal scholar and selling products if you have to hire attorneys to talk for you when the big game comes, when it's time to put down in the courtroom? See? If you can't see that's lying, cheating, stealing, grifting, fraud, and cowardice, I don't know what to show you and tell you. You're never going to get it. So again, you're most likely just one of his agents and operatives, one of his duped out, deluded, disempowered fan base who's fanatical and undermined and hard control, please feel free to continue on as your way, as you were. On your way as you were. Excuse me. Right? I won't waste any more time than I already do trying to smarten up a bunch of chumps. See, that used to be a phrase back in the day on the East Coast. What was the other one? There was two of them that they used to go together. Never give a sucker an even break and never smarten up a chump. Well, DeCastro's living by the first one. He knows his audience is a bunch of cowardly, desperate suckers who will buy anything from anybody as long as he sells them a dream, right? So he lives by that. Never give a sucker an even break and never smarten up a chump, right? I actually break that rule. I break both of them, actually. I try to give a bunch of suckers even breaks, even though they don't want it. And I try to smarten up a bunch of chumps, even though they mock me in my face and tell me, shut up, fat boy. You can't hold a candle to Chili. And then like we have to check the scores and the stats and be reminded that everything he says he does is what I actually do. Everything he sells tickets for, he can't show up and put on a show for. I put on the show without selling the tickets. See? But again, what does the Tao read? 1,000 years or more before Jesus ever showed up? The fool will regularly mistake the false for the true and the true for the false. Do you know the fool is the majority of folks? So you guys regularly in your life call the thing that is real the fake thing and the fake thing the real thing. That's the art of living. If you understand that, you understand the art of living, and you can apply that to any field and it checks out. You're not as smart as you think you are. You're not as informed as you think you are, unless information literally means information, as in you're just part of a group that's part of a whole, that's part of a deception and illusion, and you're being led down a deceptive path. That is the kind of information that you are qualified as or by. Another slave mind and hard attribute, by the way. Collectivism.
Have you seen me sleeping here last night or anything?
No, I just
okay.
Been here today.
You just what?
Right. So Chili won a couple multi-million-dollar lawsuit. I have no idea about that. And if that's the case, he didn't win anything. He hired somebody else to do it. And you again are just like Chili DeCastro. You're such a worldly corporatist. You're so materialistic and shallow. You don't understand that getting paid for them to violate everybody's rights and not stopping it isn't a win, isn't justice for all. That's just cash for Chili DeCastro. And millions of dollars for Chili DeCastro doesn't matter, because Chili DeCastro is a selfish, money-hungry, greedy, entitled fraud who, if you gave him millions, he needs millions more, because it's obvious he runs through everything that he gets because he's probably unthankful and ungrateful and doesn't know how to manage his affairs properly and lives beyond his means, like most slaves out here. So again, even in your defense of him and your attempt to try to prove me wrong, you prove me even more right. You Babylonian Molech worshiper. You think the end all be all is Chili DeCastro hiring an attorney to speak legal speak to other folks in the legal society so he can get paid to continue to do non-tent, where he encourages all of us to cooperate and comply, not exercise our rights, and then hire attorneys to speak legal speak. That's what got us here. That's not the answer. And all of us getting paid millions of bucks is also not the answer. Okay? By the way, just to go deeper, I understand the philosophy of hit him in the pocket. I've talked about it before, and I've advocated for that. That's after the primary idea. If you don't have the principles down, the secondary doesn't matter. Here's another clue. If you don't have the primary down and you try to engage in the secondary, you're going to be part of an economic collapse that's already slated to be organized and carried out. So when all of you get the bright idea that you don't have to uphold your rights and be honorable and good faith, but you're all going to get millions of dollars for a payday, you're going to extract all of that all at once from this system, and you're going to put it deeper into debt and make it more bankrupt, and you're going to cause another financial catastrophe. But you don't care, because as long as you get millions of bucks, it doesn't matter if they actually do the right thing from here on out and stop doing the wrong thing. You've all got millions of bucks, and you'll run through that like you do everything else you get in your life, because again, you don't know how to do without and discipline yourself and live within your means and reinvest and be successful long term. All you know how to do is fraud and grift and waste and lie and steal indirectly and corrupt. It's all you know how to do. Okay? So exactly. Chili's a salesman and you guys are all the prospective buyers, and he didn't pull any punches lately when he got on there and grifted for 2 hours straight and begged all you guys to buy his shitty products or just give him money so he could pay more attorneys to do his work for him, because he's a coward and a liar that doesn't have the goods when the time comes. Okay? Get a fucking clue on all levels. Money didn't get us into this. Money's not getting us out of this. Your dishonorable bad faith cowardice got us into this, and undoing that is the only thing that's going to get us out of this. Buying into con men and frauds is what got us here. You'll figure it out when the time is right. Hopefully, faithfully, it's not too late for you. Hopefully, you don't lose it all before you figure out how you're being lied to and grifted on. Someone stole every flock camera in Minnesota City. We don't have to get to that when we already covered flock to some extent. I could argue that they're now going to go the other way and embrace the chaos. They're going to hire people to take all these flock cameras out so they can say that you folks are all unruly, and bring in more fake heroes like the Castro to tell you just comply, cooperate, pay, vote, and go to court and ask them to pay you every time they violate your rights and keep you in a box for 160 days, right? By the way, I have no reason to believe the Castro actually won those lawsuits. Okay. And again, if he did win millions of dollars and within years later is begging for more money on stream because he's broke again, doesn't have what he needs, well, then he's a failure either way. See, this is what you're not getting. Incompetence, incapability, failuredom just shows itself over and over again in people's lives, despite whatever they do and say. And you'll just keep making excuses for it. You'll keep enabling, you'll keep buying these people out of their issues and their problems, instead of just encouraging them to do and be and have better, right? That's all this is. Bunch of grifters, frauds, cowards, and an audience of enablers, for the most part. Okay, we're done with that. We got here. What is this?
One that pulled in like, I don't know, a half hour ago? Yep. Okay. You know, that's a pattern I notice sometimes with cops. I thought you would turn around right away and come back and harass me, but you waited about 20, 30 minutes or so. To see if you were still here. Yeah. Yeah, I am. There I am. You've been here a while then. How old is this exercise equipment? How, did you see when that built in here? They got 2 spots, maybe another one.
Yeah, it's been here for several years.
Several? Oh, okay. For a good period of time.
Yeah.
All right. All right. And I see your patch says, where the prairie meets the pines. All right. Yeah, that's quite a patch.
Yeah. Yeah.
They got
okay, I'm going to go.
No, I mean, we could talk.
No, we don't need to.
Oh, the prepper who, this is great. The prepper in chat who projected onto me that I run my fat mouth but don't do anything and that Chili's the best. Now, after all that, see, after they get dumped on, after we check the score and the stats and the record and dump the facts on them, then they go to asking what they should have asked to begin with. Well, what do? Well, thank you for asking 5 layers in after I had to expose your ignorance and arrogance. What a surprise. Hey, at least I respect you for copping to it 5 layers in. We can't get your buddy over there to cop to it 10 layers in after he's been exposed and put on a trial by God, the facts, the truth, the record, and the people. I salute you for that. Your buddy decastrated gets shown to be lying 10 different ways to Sunday, be a grifter 10 different ways, and still won't cop to it. All it took was for me to dump like 4 or 5 layers of facts on you for you to submit to that truth and then just ask me, well, what do I do? Well, I just told you what I do. I go to court without attorneys because I don't care how it ends up. I'm practicing being faithful over fear and being courageous and standing on rights and not caring how it ends up. That's the real practice. That's where men are made and broken. He hasn't done that yet. And not only have I done it here, I've replicated and facilitated, inspired others to do the same. That's the work we do here. We're the actual thing here. We live our truth here as the co-host, the host, the co-creator, and we encourage the audience to live the truth as well. And many of them have, and they show up to tell their stories about going to court, not hiring an attorney, standing on truth, and getting results. Many of them getting dismissals. And now we're on the other side of things where we're making the determination individually if we want to sue for compensation and where we want to go with that, or sue these folks to get them on record to stop them from doing the wrongdoing in the future. So I thank you for finally asking what it is that I do. And to keep it simple, I do everything your buddy sells tickets for. Again, you didn't hear me. The show, non-show, everything your buddy says he does, that he sells products for, I actually do here, not only with myself, with others, and document it all, despite the censoring, shadow banning, and assailing of all the slaves. And I don't sell anything in order to be a part of it and to bring the audience in on being a part of it, because I really care about what I'm doing. I believe in it, and I think that it's right. And if I'm the man for the job, non-job, then I'm going to tell it, not sell it, because we all need it, and we're all better off for it. That's my profit. It's PROPHET, not PROFIT. Do you see the difference? That's my name. That's what we do here. Everything they all say that they do, that they wish they could do, but can't do because they pop a lot of shit, but can't back it up. They're cowards in the heart, and they ain't got the knowledge within them to present it, presuming they had the balls to step up and do it. Thanks for asking. I'm not feeling it. Well, then again, this is what's so great about this. You come here and watch and listen to me speak impromptu off the top of my head from the heart, never missing a beat, with passion and care and aligning all the truth and the facts. And you say you don't feel it. You go over there and watch a guy with fake teeth smile in your face, sell you on an idea he can't put up on, and somehow you feel it there. Sir, turn your camera off, turn the screen off, go back to where you came from. You've already verified you're not meant for me and I'm not meant for you. The people who are meant for me in this truth and who I'm meant for, is it undoubtable when they lay eyes on me and listen to me speak and feel me from my heart to their heart? It's undoubtable, undeniable. Truth, life, and way. Archetypal. You can feel it. It's palpable. If you're not having that experience, you have no business being here, and you probably don't get it either, by the way. But again, that's potentially a subjective perspective. This is, again, what makes it so fascinating and interesting and entertaining for the rest of us, that you listen to a guy like DeCastro and you feel something. You listen to a guy like me and you don't feel it. That is precisely why 85% of the world is vaxxed, taxed, and laxed, voting for masters and buying into a legal system, because 85% of the population is just like you. When they hear the fake ass salesman speak, they get in their feelers and feel something. When they hear somebody talking from their heart with a godly truth that has been eternal and historic, they don't feel the thing. You're not meant to be here with me. All that means. 9 out of 10 times. It has to be that way. And again, I'm sure if you go look and separate your feelers and your discernment from what it is and the facts, if you go back and you check the record, you're going to find out that you were in fact deceived and you were off the mark there, right? So again, lean out on your own understanding and your own what you think is discernment. Your feelings are regularly deceptive, and you mistake the false for the true and the true for the false. You're just angry. You don't even know the difference between Y-O-U-R and Y-O-U-R-E. So I'm going to let you go now, because I don't need you scrolling my chat, projecting onto me while claiming you don't feel anything with me. Why are you here then? See how bizarre it is? Why are you still here if you don't feel anything with me while claiming to feel it somewhere else and saying I'm just angry? See, more power games, more denial, more delusion, more projection. You want to demean and devalue. You're not focusing on the truth and the facts of who and what we all are and what we do. You're now focusing on how it feels to you. It seems like and feels like you're angry, Paulie boy. So we're going to demean and devalue and deny all the facts you just laid out. That doesn't work. You just proved everything I said to be true. That's a fucking power game, and that's manipulation. It doesn't matter if I was angry as you could possibly get. The truth and the facts and the record are what matter. If you ignore the truth, facts, and record and what matters for how I'm presenting and how it feels to you, you're dishonorable and bad faith. And I don't need you or want you around. You just proved my fucking point. I love when you guys do this. It couldn't have been any better. I can't write it any better. Just like you do with religion, the medical system, politics, COVID, and everything else. You put aside what I'm saying and the facts and how I'm always right and I'm standing on shit while they're wrong and lying and being cowardly because of how I sound to you. Proving why you belong with all the other cowardly beta males in my life somewhere other than around me. Because I don't want cowardly liabilities like you around me who defer to their feelings and what it seems like rather than the facts and the record and what it is. You are the problem in this world, and it makes perfect sense why you gravitate toward a decastrated. Hey, when you're ready, I got a life coach for you too. All the same themes over and over again. Big on the feelers, supporting what they want it to be, collectivizing to feel something and pretend that it's something, ignoring the facts and the record and the results to do it. Dishonorable, bad faith. You serve your feelings and each other rather than God and the truth and the way. There couldn't be any more expounded proof and exemplified proof of why we don't belong with each other. We're antithetical creatures. We don't walk in the same world. You also think that passion and care, compassion, the word is compassion. It literally means with passion. You think compassion is anger. And you think somebody who's passionless, who shows up like a dead fish to be nice, kind, and polite and lie and cheat and steal on you is polite and kind and nice. That's how inverted you are. That's how duped you are. That's how easily tricked and played you are. The guy who truly cares with compassion, who shows up to do what's right without any expectations, he's the guy who's angry, who you should worry about. The guy who mocks everyone with a smile on his face, who lies in everybody's face, who deceives, who manipulates, who grifts. He's the nice, kind, and polite, happy guy. Paulie's the angry one. See the game? See what they all do? That's why you're so easily pimped and played on. Your politicians know this, and they play on it all day, every day. All the professionals in the system know the idea of civilized and sophisticated while they lie to you and pick your pocket, and you eat it right up. They taught you that. They taught you to listen to and follow the person who shows up grifting, who acts nice, kind, and polite. They taught you to ignore the guy like me who's hollering with a care in his heart for all of us to do what's true and what's right. They taught you that for obvious reasons. So you could never be inspired to do and be and have better. You'll always ignore in your arrogance the inspiring, impassioned person and the way. And always in favor for the passionless appeal to emotion and false authority every time, because you're a bunch of cowardly collectivists. See, we always hit that same systems dynamics all across the board. It all plays in there. Right?
Doc, I just wanted to make sure you weren't camping.
We could read your screen a little bit, and
Yeah, I wanted to make sure you knew you couldn't camp here.
Okay.
Okay.
Well,
Have a good day, sir.
what's the curfew? What's the ordinance on that? What's the curfew say? For Pop?
This is not the campground.
Yeah, I hear
We
you.
do have a campground in town.
Okay,
so-
I'm pretty sure. Yeah, I can look that up and stuff. But does the park have a curfew?
There for kids it does.
Not for adults?
No.
Yeah.
Okay,
Just
I'm gonna
don't
go.
set up any tents or have any campfires or whatever.
Yeah, you can't do that.
Okay, and you said you're the chief. Chief who?
Phil Juvie.
Okay, you said your first and last name?
Yep, that's what I just
Okay,
said.
Juvie is in like juvenile, Juvee, maybe?
Yeah, something like that.
Okay, well maybe we'll find it out later.
Okay.
I guess.
All right.
Look it up later, right? That's what you want me to do? You probably have your name.
Yep.
Maybe. Okay.
Yep.
Juvie. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I got it right.
Okay.
Okay.
Yep.
Just took a guess there.
Yeah.
Yeah, nice town you got.
Thank you.
Are you the only one on patrol today?
Well, right at the moment I am.
Oh yeah, okay. Chief on the weekend? Sunday, yeah.
This Sunday.
All right. Yeah.
Okay.
So,
All right. I'm gonna go.
Was there any complaints, or is it just you taking upon yourself to check me out, or did anybody
Yeah,
complain?
I'm doing my job to try to patrol Fox.
I understand, but did anybody make a call on me?
Did I say that?
Well, I'm asking that,
And I'm telling
and you're telling me you didn't say that, so I guess that's a no.
That's a no.
We go around. Okay, sounds good. All right. So,
All right.
yeah, now you got an unmarked car.
Yeah, sure do.
All right, that's something else. All right.
All right, I don't know what this video is specifically about. Yeah, they're talking in chat now. Yes, Dr. Pepper, this is your passion. After they're out in the street, I'm the angry guy, while DeCastro's got numerous videos of him calling the cops names, screaming in their faces, saying he's an alpha male, he's going to beat them up. They met their match. So he can sit in the street, scream and yell, curse people out, act a fool, but he's not angry. He doesn't have any ego problems and issues. And then on top of it, the other side, when he shows up to court, is fake crying for sympathy while letting other men talk for you. But we don't have it here. He doesn't feel it here. Over there, he really feels it, right? Again, you guys are not meant to be here, or I'm not meant to be here. Maybe this world is yours and you're meant to take it, and I'm meant to be in the hereafter. That's always a possibility. I don't deny it. We're not meant to coexist in the same world the same way. That's obvious. Couldn't be any further. And again, and I know that I'm supposed to go with my reality because it's mine and say it's the reality, but like, seriously, when I step back from it, you couldn't be any further from the truth. Like on a continuum, if you had to put us on a scale, I'm way closer to the thing, whatever that is, than he is. And the fact that you see the opposite and feel the opposite is proof of the difference in the worlds and the path that we walk here, right? And the dual jurisdiction, those who need to be governed versus those who have discernment and can govern themselves. You can't even figure it out for what it is when it's all right in your face, right? Again, that's exactly why Chili laughs and giggles and says, do the math on the trifolds, Playboy. Why do you think I got 1.5 thousand live viewers, while you lucky if you can hold 60? Well, number one, I'm censored and shadow banned because the frauds are always pushed. System always pushes the frauds and holds back empowering, inspiring truth that can change lives. We know that. So there's your first clue, let alone everything else, right? And they don't care about that. They don't have a heart oriented toward justice. They don't care about the fact we're censored and shadow banned, demonetized, and everything else. Paulie's angry. You think maybe that's why I'm angry? Because the whole world's been run and occupied by a bunch of losers, cowards, and frauds like you. And when I show up for myself and others to do the right thing, and I'm on a movement to value and power, you all come in to stack the deck because you can't compare and can't compete. When we actually get down to the arena where rubber meets the road, you actually can't compare and compete, whether it comes to doing a broadcast off the top of your head and your heart, or actually showing up at court. You can't compare and you can't compete. So you or people like you have to stack the deck for obvious reason. So your grift and your lies could be more effective. This is a spirit that runs this here and is behind this here. And make no mistake, it is the majority. That's obvious. That is why the world is the way that it is, because the Castro will always have more views and get more money than someone like me doing what I'm doing. And when you ask them why, they'll say, Paulie Boy's angry. We don't feel the truth over here. De Castro's a nice guy. He seems like the good guy doing the right thing. Just draw that fucking Venn diagram and extend every profession and every reality off of that one reality right there and that deception. It all fits. That's why Anthony Fauci and Bill Gates will always have more viewers watching their live and always get more money than Paulie Boy. It's not because they're doing what's true and what's right. It's because they know how to show up and act nice, kind, and polite while they lie, cheat, and steal. I don't know how to show up and act nice, kind, and polite while I lie, cheat, and steal. I only know how to be authentically me, good, bad, or indifferent. What used to be a qualification for real and credible is now put off as aggressive and mean. Paulie, see, you're not a good businessman. You got to learn, like all the corporatists do, how to show up and be nice, kind, and polite, either while you lie, cheat, steal, and grift, or while you call people out on their slavery and genocide. You got to make sure you're nice, kind, and polite while you do it, aka full of shit. That's the way you get a large number of people to like you and receive you and give you things. Well, guess what? I'm not here for that. When the day comes where I want to be here for that, I'll do it as good, if not better than anybody. I'm not here for that. That's not what lights me up and gets me excited. That's not my purpose here. To have mass appeal, placating to a bunch of inauthentic cowards by being an inauthentic coward doesn't do anything for me. Doesn't get me going. Doesn't seem to have any real power or value to it. So I'm weird like that.
Now you know you can't.
All right, let's move on here. We're going to wrap it up too because the folks who are here are gone and I'm looking after the animals. And I got to give them another go around of food and water and everything else before lockdown on the plantation. Lockdown on the compound. All slaves in, bedding down for the night. And please, this guy's probably right. DeCastro, James Freeman, High Impact Flicks, all the rest of them are nice, kind, polite, good and great, heroic people. They have the answers. They're truly leading. They're influencers. I'm an angry, bitter, resentful trailer dweller online. I don't make millions of dollars selling products and getting sponsored by Google and YouTube. I get censored and shadow banned for some odd reason. Yeah, probably because they're keeping you all safe from me and me safe from you because I'm just so bad and wrong. So, yeah, don't like, share, subscribe to me. Like, share, subscribe to them because they're going to help you out and keep you safe. Don't, I'm just here to be mean and nasty and yell at you because I'm very egotistical and narcissistic. That's really all this is. Full text U.S.-Iran memorandum goes on to talk about how they're going to give $300 billion to Iran, but Obama's $1 billion Iran deal was terrible, but now they're going to give $300 billion, but we're not going to focus on that because who really cares about the truth and the facts, right? We know that. Woman gets arrested over water concern post on Facebook. So DeCastro says touchdown position, just comply. Don't civilly disobey. Even as the women get arrested for posting on Facebook. But he's a legal scholar. He's got the answers. Make sure we got 15,000 for everybody too when they finally stand for their rights and wind up criminalized and get dragged into court. Make sure we got 15 or 20,000 for everybody to hire somebody to talk for them and lose and go to jail anyway, by the way, when that happens. If that ever happens too. Make sure you do a GoFundMe for all the liars and cowards. I think I'm going to end it there. We'll come back tomorrow. No reason to push it. We're coming up on the 3rd hour. It is what it is. It's always similar, if not the same broadcast. The same 3 to 5 or more archetypal power and value dynamics and how that leads to all the rest of our experiences here in this life and what we create for ourselves. So special thanks to contributor support. As a matter of fact, that reminds me, I got to thank Julian. I saw him earlier. Julian writes, thanks and blessings, Paul. Thank you, Mr. Barbary. I look forward to hearing how your court proceeding turns out. And it's never over, right? If you let it be. It's over whenever you choose it to be for yourself. Whether it's over on a macro level, you can always choose to be in. You could always choose to be out, right? So on a micro level, you can always choose to be in or out. On a macro level, you're in it until you're out of here. You don't get a choice, right? So then you would think that dictates what your choice is on a micro level. But you won't go there. So special thanks to contributors and supporters. Links are up top. You may have to full screen it. You'll see the scrolling black font on the yellow background up top. Various links to contribute and support, and also email. If you got videos, pictures, court paperwork, presentment, something you want me to present or go over or evaluate, you got pictures of your feet. Maybe your family is so like slaved out and grotesque. You want to send me video of them because they're like the next Whitakers. And I could do like an hour on them, right? Go ahead and send it. Just send it. When in doubt, send it. I will ignore it if I have to. Just don't get uppity about it. See, there's a back and forth here. When in doubt, send it. Like I got a guy, he sent me 40 emails yesterday, all one-liners. He's now using my email box as a text messaging device. My whole email box full of one guy, just one message after the next. One line trying to tell me how to be and do and what Jesus is and all the rest. So again, when in doubt, send it. I blocked his ass. He can't send me anything ever again. But I even told him, I said, you just sent me 40 messages. This is not text messages. This is email. If you want a text message, do it to my phone. If you send me 40, I'm going to block you there too. He literally continued to do it. So I blocked him on email. I'm not unreasonable. You can even send me 40 items I didn't ask for and don't need. And I will tell you, okay, that's a bit much. Let's like reel that in. And if you keep going, I block you. But when in doubt, send it. We'll work it all out. And a new Gorilla Gems production on the way out. Because why not? So much love, much love. Thank you for being here. Until next time. I need to come up, I need to come up with my own branding. Choose life and live with faith. How about that? That feels good.
Back in the lab through that crack screen glow. White gorilla on the mic like a blacksmith blow. Proper instruction on the air for 1,000 nights. Every sunrise still swinging, realigning they sights. I was talking about freedom, they was talking about fame. I was talking about spirit, they was counting they change. Agents in the comments, trolls in the feeds. But you can't cuff God, you can't cage what's free. Return of the white gorilla. They tried change, tried darts, tried slander and filler. But the word came wild, straight flame God's river. You can't stop what's forever, it's bigger, it's bigger. Proper instruction on the line every day. Through the doubt, through the drought I stayed. They threw mud, through noise, through shade at my name. But the infinite voice still cut through the game. Yeah, every broadcast they wanted war in the wires. They was spamming up the chats, I was fanning up fires. Laughing at the smear, I done heard it all twice. If they crucify truth, what they gon' do to advice? I ain't bowed to the sponsors, ain't been to the trends. Spoke life to the lonely, put steel in their spines again. Haters pray that I break, that the stream will go blank. But the source never sleeps and I drink from that tank. Through thick and thin, I stayed on cold. Blood in my throat, but I stayed on gold. They wanted me silent, wanted me tame, but I carry what's endless, you can't box that name. Return of the white gorilla. They tried change, tried darts, tried slander and filler. But the word came wild, straight flame God's river. You can't stop what's forever, it's bigger, it's bigger. Proper instruction on the line